This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Happy Monday, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Huss and Reem with you. We have a packed show today. We got to dive into last night's Bomber victory and all the collateral damage from that game for both the Bombers and the Ticats, with the two starting quarterbacks both leaving the game in Zach Collaros and Bo Levi Mitchell. We're also going to have Mike McIntyre join us. If you're with us on Friday afternoon, it was pretty late in the show when we got the news of the offer sheet to Leo Carlsson, which has just sent shockwaves throughout the National Hockey League and is basically acting as somewhat of a nuclear bomb to the Anaheim Ducks salary cap structure. That, and of course, Winnipeg Jet development camp wrapped up. We'll get into a bunch of hockey topics with Mike McIntyre a little later on. And listen, I don't know about you, but I have World Cup fever. I mean, shout out to our Canadian team for putting it all on the line, doing us proud. Needed to get a goal in the first half when they played so well. It really sort of felt like a deja vu of the Swiss game, where you play a strong first half, you're right in it, and you come out of the break and concede. And obviously that ended up being a hill too much to climb for our Canadians. But first ever victory in the World Cup, first ever victory in the elimination stage, first ever trip to the 16s. Overall, we met our expectations. I'm not sure we really exceeded them, but I'm still all in on this tournament. I mean, from the Argentina-Capo Verde game, the Portugal-Croatia game on the weekend, last night's England-Mexico Classic, Erling Haaland shocking Brazil with Norway. I'll say this, and this is someone that has never been, a big-time soccer guy. The last sort of 6-8 years, I've gotten more into it on the international stage. I'm not sure. Maybe this is going to be enough to get me to follow the Premier League and follow, a team there. I've never really done that before. I'm into Canada. I follow the World Cup qualifying and all that. You tell me we're in the Gold Cup or something like that, I'll follow it. But, I mean, this has been, I think, inarguably the best World Cup ever. On the field. We've got some good FIFA-style controversy going into the USA game tonight, with Article 27 of the FIFA Charter being invoked, thanks to a call from a certain head of state south of the border. But it really has been phenomenal, and that overall was the highlight of my week. But obviously, being Winnipeg Sports Talk, we're going to dive into the Bombers, Jet situation. We're going to talk with John Horn. I'm sure he'll have some World Cup takes. And he'll also get us ready for Felix Auger-Aliassime going up against Novak Djokovic tomorrow in the quarterfinals at Wimbledon. So buckle up. We got a busy, busy show today. Taylor Allen's going to join us. Caught up with him a little earlier this morning before his flight and a long travel day back to Winnipeg. Mike McIntyre and, again, John Horn a little bit later on. Just before we bring in Michael Remis, I do want to thank all of our sponsors that make the show happen each and every day. Of course, our partners at Coolbet Canada. Second qualifier for the Coolbet Open in Estonia tournament is Wednesday at 8 p.m. We'll still have the bounties on myself, Hammer, and Remis. And two, I know last time it was a little weird. We had a lot of people in the tournament, and it added a couple extra tickets. This time, it will be just the top two that get the qualifier, that get the tickets for the final tournament, which is going to be in, I think, the second week of August, and the winner will be heading to Coolbet Open in Estonia, all expenses paid. Unbelievable trip. So Wednesday night, mark that down, 8 p.m. Hope to see you there with us over at Coolbet on the poker. Also want to thank Princess Auto, Chud's Power Sports, Clean Line, Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, a Manitoba Battery in Aikens Lake, Breezy Bend, Royal Sports, Boston Pizza, Little Brown Jug, St. Vital Dental Center, Rowley's Transfer, Assiniboia Downs, the Winnipeg Goldeyes, and our friends at Travel Manitoba. And we will get to a Why Not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. Oh, and one other thing we'll do at the end of the show. We need to discuss a brewing Twitter war between defender of Winnipeg, our pal Nick Lyman, and Kevin Weeks, who decided to wait like 3 days after the infamous eyeball tweet and then get back at Nick. So that's going to be fun. Stick around to the end of the program. Welcome to everybody in chat. I hope you had a great weekend. Hit that thumbs up button and the subscribe if you haven't already, and shout out to all you podcast listeners. And welcome to you, Michael Remis. What is up?
Hey, enjoying the summer. What a nice day we had yesterday, only for it to pour again this morning. The storm trackers in the province getting a workout over the last couple weeks. But
oh my God.
Yeah, but here us feeling good. Nice Bomber win. Wasn't pretty, but was a win. So they'll take it ahead of a Friday's game at Princess Auto Stadium. And this NHL offseason, I think the show ended, and I just kept looking more and more into this Carlson offer sheet that, flipped the league on its head, the Carlson offer sheet. It's crazy. So we're counting down till the Friday, I guess, would be the deadline to accept.
Yeah, let me shout out, and we'll get to Elliotte Friedman in a minute because we've got some of what he had to say on the Jets. On the an extended 32 thoughts. It was like 4 hours. They went through every team. I will shout out Elliotte. He's the best in the game, and it's not even close. I'm not even sure who number 2 is right now, is sort of like the contender to his crown. But part of it is just of how hard they work. Like, the rest of the insiders were like having a battle of sunset pictures from their cottages. And Friedge and Bukowskis are cranking out 4 hours of updates on every single team and diving into, the huge story right now that Anaheim is still weighing whether they're going to be matching this offer, which I think most people expect them to do. They were about to get offers sheeted on Mintyukov, and they ended up doing a deal with him far in excess of probably what he's worth, probably what he should be getting. But because they put themselves in this very, very unenviable situation. And then you got to figure out what happens with Cutter Gauthier, how they sign him without the cap room to do it. So it is fascinating. But the guys over at Sportsnet have been doing a great job and continue to fire out content for everybody, and we will have some of those clips. But Remo, did you watch the Canada-Morocco game on Saturday?
Of course. I was out at the lake, watched with my dad and my grandmother. We had to put it on in the household. Canada, I was like, oh, they really, going to the second half, like, wow, they've really been not only holding their own, but having a lot of possession. Couldn't quite get the shots on target and couldn't take advantage of a number of throw-ins and corner kicks. And once Morocco got the first goal off the free kick, they centered it. And I don't know how that ball found its way through all the bodies to the goal husk, but that was kind of it. They pressed hard at the end to tie, and you thought maybe they had a chance. But, Morocco, they're one of the top teams in the world, Huss. And I do think it's a tremendous accomplishment for Canada, who's, 10 years ago, this was not even on their radar. And, there is some mystery about Alphonso Davies. He was medically cleared to play, according to Jesse Marsh, but didn't feel 100%. And I think if he was 100%, maybe Canada has a better shot here to win. But did unite the country. I haven't seen the viewership numbers. I know for the South Africa game, it was extremely high. And I imagine it was, noon on a Saturday. Everyone was dialed in. My son was away at Sleepaway Summer Camp. They put it on there for everyone to watch. So
Excellent. No,
I was surprised but proud to hear that.
I love that. I love that. Like, I think we'll all remember that game as a great moment for the country, in the World Cup, in that match. Obviously, it would have been great if it was at home. It wasn't. And listen, Morocco's a hell of a team. Put it this way. I thought they were way more competitive this year in the 3-0 loss than they were at the game that I saw in Qatar, where we lost 2-1, and it was not close at all. I mean, Remo, can we raise a banner for beating Morocco in expected goals in the game?
Is there expected goals in soccer?
Oh, yeah, there's expected goals. And we had such a big gap after the first half. Morocco was definitely the better team in the second half. I mean, there's no question about that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it ended up as like 0.78 to 0.76 or something like that. So raise the banner. I will say this. Love Jesse Marsh. I love the spirit that he put into the team, into the country. For a guy with an American passport to embrace the country the way he did, to encourage the players, many of whom are Canadian but haven't spent a lot of time in Canada or are on the team. Like, we'll put it this way, aren't born and bred here like, many of the fans. I thought the way he inspired them to really embrace the country and the opportunity was amazing. I mean, the shots of, him and the team singing the anthem and the way they played so hard. Like, listen, we had no Kone. Davies basically was a non-factor and only got in for about 20 minutes in the tournament. That's tough. But, man, do we have a bright future. I mean, Davies, Kone, Bombito, DeFogere, Estacchio. I mean, these are young men. And come 4 years, when, funny enough, the World Cup is going to Morocco, along with Portugal and Spain, I think we'll be in an even better position to contend. And I think the run and the excitement of this World Cup is going to continue to take soccer to another level in this country, the way it seems like it is throughout North America right now. It is sort of funny, Remo. Tonight we've got this USA-Belgium game, which is shrouded in controversy after FIFA has stayed the suspension to Flo Balogun, the U.S. striker, who, to be fair, probably shouldn't have been suspended with a red card in the first place, but he was. And there's been some unprecedented review, which has allowed him to play. It is a true CONCACAF tournament. I mean, for people that have followed our conference, knows what Canada and the United States go through when they go to Mexico or to Central America. The English got a taste of that yesterday and leading into the game at Stadio Azteca. And I will say, CONCACAF has always been known for suspicious administrative rulings. And the United States got one yesterday, and that's going to be sort of a bit of a cloud over this match tonight. But holy smokes, has it been great. Spain and Portugal this afternoon. That could be, Cristiano Ronaldo's last game. He's retiring internationally at the end of this. And we saw Neymar's last game yesterday because Norway went in and shocked the Brazilians. And, dude, I got to say, I cannot get enough of that Erling Haaland. He is, I mean, the most imposing athlete. And he seems to be different than all the other soccer players. Like, man, he scored those goals yesterday against Brazil. Legendary team. Biggest stage in the sport. And he doesn't run around all the other guys. He almost just smirks at the camera, knowing that he's that damn good, and then his teammates jump on his back and point at him. The Norway win yesterday was phenomenal. And the entire weekend, I mean, the Capo Verde-Argentina game, Portugal-Croatia. I mean, we have had just absolute classics, and I am getting into that point where I'm a little nervous, and I'm dreading what life is going to be like after the World Cup in summer. But we will move on. I tell you what, why don't we start off with the hockey stuff? By the way, shout out to Nick. Is in chat today. Stick around, Nick. We're gonna have to go through you defending the honor of the Jets and the fans against Kevin Weeks later on in the program. But for those of you, and we'll get into this a little bit more when Mike joins us, but before we dive to the Bombers, this is Elliotte from 32 Thoughts. And of course, everyone's first question, I got it a million times on the weekend, what's going on with Hellebuck? The most plugged in guy in the business, Elliotte Friedman, had this to say about the Hellebuck situation.
We'll see what happens with Hellebuck. They have talked about, can they convince him to come back? I think that's going to be a really hard thing to do. I'm not counting on that. The more I hear about it, the more I believe that the biggest hurdle with the Sabres was they were getting the 4th overall pick from Buffalo and they wanted to keep 8. Buffalo was like, no, if we're giving you 4, we have to get 8 back. I think Winnipeg wanted both those picks, and that's why it didn't happen. I don't know where this goes, but I think it's going to be hard to convince Hellebuck to stay. But I do think that, one of the things with the Jets is, do they make their young players wait too long? I think it's going to be interesting this year because I don't think they're going to be afraid of if Bjork or Jaeger gives them a reason to give them a shot at 2C. I don't think they're going to be afraid to try that.
Okay, so listen, first off on the Hellebuck stuff, we knew that the 4th and 8th pick, that was very contentious in and around, and it didn't get done, and it hasn't get done. As far as convincing him to come back, I mean, I don't know about you, Remo. I would be stunned if he didn't show up at camp and held out trying to force a trade. But I guess that's possible. It really is the only recourse he has. And at that point, you'll see what happens. But I mean, I'll still maintain that the Jets are not going to be forced, bullied, whatever, pushed into trading Connor Hellebuck, their greatest player, for anything less than what they feel is fair value. And a deal didn't get done before. This is part of the reason why I thought that this is going to take a while, because it's not an easy trade to make, and it has to make sense for Winnipeg. And as we know, with guys with no trades and whatnot, it's difficult. And now that the draft has passed, it makes it even more difficult. So obviously we're going to be on this over the course of the entire summer. But we're getting into a slower time. Now, I mean, what do you think? Do you think they revisit this with some teams like in early September, late August sort of thing? Or could we be in for a standoff and some of them, or Hellebuck showing up knowing that he wants out, and some of the most anticipated media scrums in Jets history?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be anticipated. And, I think when he says come back, I think he means like maybe mentally, like with the trade request, like there's no way he wouldn't like show up. Like I can't see a player doing that, but it seems like he is, more than open to a change of scenery, and the Jets tried to work out a trade with Buffalo. And I agree with the Jets that, there's no point of trading 8 for 4. What, they would have done the trade and picked Bjork at 4 anyways. I mean, we're just speculating based on how over the moon they were to get him at 8. And, maybe they do hammer out a deal, but I agree the Jets are not really feeling any, pressure to, do a deal that doesn't satisfy what they want. So, bring back Hellebuck. Maybe you try Bjork at second line center, and he is an answer. Because I'll tell you this, our Instagram views from Sweden up like infinity %. In the last week.
We're huge in Sweden.
Okay, yeah, we're huge. In the last week on Instagram, I think 60% of our views are from Canada and 38% are from Sweden. It's an obscene amount, and we're posting Bjork reels that are getting 50 to 70,000 views here. So maybe all the comments from all the Swedes on our social media is leading me to believe this guy could be a player, but maybe the Jets try it out to start with Hellebuck, and you trade him at the deadline if you're not a playoff team, or you try to find someone's goalie gets hurt, you try to find a partner. Seems like the Jets are trying to work it out with Buffalo, but can't really find that common ground.
Well, listen, so that's one part of the story. The other part of the story that I think it will be almost universally welcomed amongst the Jets fan base is what he said there at the end about the team not being scared to try one of those two players. And I think Bjork is the obvious guy at 2C to begin the season. I'll be honest, I thought that he'd start the year on the team. I thought that if he was playing, it would be most likely like in a 4C role for a while, and then hopefully it would be so obvious that the kid's ready for more that they would move him into that. I mean, it would be wild if he was the 2C on opening day. But I'll tell you what, everything that we've seen from Viggo Bjork in his draft year, in the SHL, in the World Championships, shows that he's a dog and he's up for it. So, I mean, I certainly don't want them to go sign somebody that would prevent the Winnipeg Jets from having the opportunity to play him in that spot. So that's going to make this training camp, Remis, is going to be phenomenal for storylines and for guys like us, depending on what happens with Hellebuck. But it does seem like the pick of Bjork and the excitement about him coming out of development camp amongst Jet fans has sort of changed the mood of doom and gloom with everything around Hellebuck, and more about real genuine excitement for Viggo Bjork and, some of the other young players that, are going to be looking to try to make names for themselves in September.
I think so. This was a player at the position that the Jets needed. And again, some are saying he could be as good as Ivar Stenberg, who went number 2. So, they don't really have any other options at this point. So you might as well see what you have. And Elliotte talked about this, throughout the season, how the Jets, haven't really given their young players big opportunities. And this is a situation where this would be the perfect time to try that, because you might as well try. They tried last year signing veteran players or going with veteran players, and it really didn't work out. So, this training camp, we just had a great development camp, a lot of excitement here for Viggo Bjork, and we've seen that in the past with Rutger, but it seemed like this is a player, who's top 10 overall. Some had ranked much higher than that. It certainly has an impact, and there's only 4 preseason games this year, huh? So maybe they do try him for a couple games, see how it goes, and if he can grab the job, he could be the guy there on the second line. I also, he mentioned Jaeger. Well, we'll see how it goes with him, but Bjork, he's the number 1 prospect on the Jets right now.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, we'll talk about this with Mike coming up in a few minutes, but how about that Bomber game last night, Reem? 14-13 in a year where every game goes over, and we had 94 points in the first game of the week in the Canadian Football League. We got a little bit of a dose of reality, and unfortunate reality, when it comes to professional football, in that both quarterbacks left the game. Zach Caleros earlier, upper body injury, obvious concern in Winnipeg about Zach. And then, what looked like to be a pretty serious leg injury that Bo Levi Mitchell had to leave the game and the stadium in an ambulance to the hospital. Really put a damper on the game. And we'll talk about this with Taylor Allen in a minute. But just taking out the personal side and, the concern for those two guys. Guys get hurt in football all the time. Taylor Elgersma comes in, manages the game. The defense steps up. And then in the fourth quarter, guess who? Brady Oliveira and the Bomber offensive line absolutely taking over that football game and just running it over and over again. You know what's coming. You can't stop it. Getting it into setting up a chip shot for Sergio Castillo with like 20 seconds left in the game to get a huge win, 14-13. Bombers at 2-2 now, 1 game back of the first place Edmonton Elks. The West is really tight after BC's win against Edmonton. But a loss last night would have put them in the basement, tied with BC, chasing everybody else. You don't love everything that happened last night in the game, but man, you love the Bombers finding a way to win. And you know what? Credit to Elgersma. I mean, listen, there was nothing spectacular. It was a very tight playbook, but he was able to complete passes when he needed to. He didn't turn the football over, which was huge. And at the end, he was good enough to hand the ball off to Brady Oliveira, win that damn football game. And, man, he looked hype afterwards. Very excited about being part of that first win.
Yeah, that would have, kind of disappointing, I don't want to say result, but, in the game, seeing Bo Levi Mitchell go down with what looked like a routine sack there from Jake Serezna, and Zach Collaros takes a big shot, and rough week for him. I'm sure he was suffering with a case of FOMO all week after not going to the Swift Kelsey wedding, revealing to Taylor Allen on Saturday. I thought he was going to put on the IR with FOMO there, but took the shot and left the game. And they brought in Elgersma. A lot of talk about Drew Brown. They didn't dress him, even though trading for him. But Elgersma, they didn't ask him to do a lot. He wasn't asked to throw any deep balls, really. But you have the dump off to Ontario Wilson for the long touchdown, and the defense. A bit of an easier task going up against Trey Ford, and Jake Dolgala surrendered 0 points in the second half. And credit to the Bombers for grinding out the clock there at the end, just handing to Brady over and over. And Perkins, really good in short yardage, as well. So you like what you saw there, getting the win. It wasn't the prettiest, but we've seen this before from the Bombers, and they're now 2-2. And you look at it's kind of funny. You lose the 2 home games and win the 2 road games. So credit to them on that performance. But I don't think we've seen this team at their best. But it was enough to win yesterday against a banged-up Ticats team.
Well, and listen, I mean, there's 2 sides to this quarterback situation with Collaros getting injured. First of all, makes the Bombers look like geniuses for getting the Drew Brown trade done when they did. And then it makes them look insane for not having him on the roster yesterday. Why was he not there and available? Let's hear a little bit from Mike O'Shea before we go to Taylor Allen out. First off, here's O'Shea on the game overall, and obviously the unfortunate scenario of both quarterbacks getting hurt.
I said this on the radio that it's if you just separate that and think about the league, 2 premier starting quarterbacks going down in the same game is not good for the league. So hopefully both guys make a speedy recovery. I don't know anything about either one right now, but Bo was on a heater, and the league needs that. Obviously, points are up, and obviously we believe Zach's the best quarterback in the league. So when you lose that, the game ends up probably the lowest scoring game this season, I imagine.
How hard is it for everyone just to get back on the field and do their jobs? I mean, you could hear a pin drop in the stadium, and that felt like.
Yeah, I think we responded pretty well. We had a good return right off the bat and then scored right away. They all understand it's football, and everybody in the game understands how fleeting it can be. So they don't need to be reminded of that over and over again. It's just, they got to be professional, and they got to do their job, and they got to do it as hard and as fast as they can so that they can stay safe too.
All right, so there's the coach. Now, the kid, Taylor Elgersma, got in, and he was the guy that led the team to the comeback win, although not a ton of action through the air. Here's what the coach had to say about his rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I thought he took care of the football very well. I thought he made good decisions, and everybody's going to want to have played back, not just Taylor, everybody. Like, if you look at this game, everybody's going to have one they can write down that they want. But as far as Taylor goes, I'm excited for him. I thought he handled himself very well. I thought there's some, conditions that happen in the game that can make it even tougher, and I thought he battled through it.
All right. Now, I mean, the fact that there wasn't much downfield passing, there were. I can't be the only one, Reem, that got a little feeling about the infamous Streffler game in Ottawa last year, where you knew that they weren't going to really be passing. They leaned it on Brady Oliveira. And that was a game where Streffler passed for 54 yards and Drew Brown passed for over 400. And the Bombers somehow won on the road. But Drew Brown was the guy that's with the Bombers right now. And the question everyone was asking is, why the heck was he in street clothes last night? Taylor Allen asked Mike O'Shea yesterday about why was Drew Brown not on the roster and available?
Yeah, I thought that was the right decision. I wouldn't want to put him in there and have him have anything less than a full playbook. So I thought that gave us our best chance to win. So you got to stop asking about quarterbacks before the game.
All right. So, I mean, I'm not sure there was a full playbook there for Elgersma, but that's what the coach had to say. Hey, speaking of Elgersma, here's Elgersma on the game and getting into live CFL action.
Yeah, I mean, I think first thing, super grateful for the group around me. Obviously, the O-line played unreal. Be able to get some easy completions, let the receivers go do their thing. I mean, Pokey, on that play, making it happen. And I think just leaning on those guys, super special for our group.
Is there a certain guy on the team that kind of gave you some words of wisdom before you got out there to kind of make you settle down a little bit?
Yeah, I think that, first of all, Tommy, obviously, talking to me in the headset and Braylon, they did a great job kind of talking me through what kind of our plans were. And then, out there on the field, obviously, relying on the guys that have been there before, Patty, Stan, the guys that have, been in this league for a long time and, put it in their hands, and they did a great job.
All right, well, here's one more from Elgersma, just on getting out there, being on the field in live action, and, of course, earning the win.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to execute, get the ball in our playmakers' hands, make sure that, I'm not taking any negative plays, be able to kind of get the next first down. And that's kind of what my mindset was the whole game. It's just, how can we get one more first down? How can we get one more first down? Give our guys a chance to make plays with the ball in their hands. And that's all you're trying to do, especially as a young quarterback out there.
What did they say to you at the very beginning, like to Tommy or whoever it was, about just how to kind of settle into the game?
Yeah, I think that we talked about process. We talked about, some of the looks that we were expecting to get. And obviously, they brought some certain pressures, especially, being a young guy getting there for the first time. You can kind of expect some certain pressures from the defense. And we did a great job managing that to start when I got in there, kind of getting some quicks, get the ball out fast, and help me kind of feel comfortable out there.
All right, we're going to head out to the Hammer, the site of last night's game with Taylor Allen from the Free Press in just a minute. This upcoming segment in the show brought to you by our friends at Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, the residential and commercial plumbing experts and Winnipeg's most trusted plumbers with over 40 years of fast responses, lasting results, and 24/7 emergency services across all of Winnipeg. Supporting the Jets and the Bombers as proud corporate sponsors, and of course, Winnipeg Sports Talk. Clean Line is your go-to company for all of your residential and commercial plumbing needs, as well as heating and electrical. And they do have 24/7 emergency services. So with possible backups and whatnot, with the crazy weather that we've been having here in Winnipeg and across southern Manitoba, if you are in a jam and need emergency plumbing help, there's only one place to call. That's Clean Line, 204-500-2001. Remember that number, 500-2001 for 24/7 emergency services, and you can schedule an appointment and get more info today. Online at cleanline.ca. Another proud sponsor of the Bombers and WST, of course, is our friends at Manitoba Battery, your local option for the best in batteries, where you can shop local, get the best prices in town, period, beating the pants off the big box stores. and customer service that comes from a great local company like Manitoba Battery. 2 locations to serve you. Logan Avenue, Dovercourt Drive, with a full array of batteries of everything you need for the summer, from boats to bikes to RVs, ATVs, you name it, they've got it. And if you are busy and you can't make it down, you can give them a call or order online at Manitoba Battery and have those batteries delivered to you anywhere inside the perimeter of Winnipeg. For all your battery needs, make it Manitoba Battery. See them in store or order online today at manitobabattery.com. And hey, who's got a move coming up? If you are moving this summer into the fall, make sure you holler at our friends at Rowley's Transfer. Rowley's, family owned and operated for over 60 years in Winnipeg, is the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba. You can find out more on all of Rowley's services at rowleys.com. And while you're at it, click on the top right corner, request an estimate, use the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies, and then simply let them know when and where you're planning on moving and what needs to go. And the friendly staff at Rowley's will turn it around quickly with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment and service that they have been famous for, now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, make it Rowley's, the most trusted name in the game. Find out more, request an estimate today online at rowleys.com. All right, as I mentioned, long travel day for Taylor Allen. We caught up with him a little earlier in the Hammer before heading home on last night's 14-13 Winnipeg Blue Bomber win. Taylor, what's going on? Thanks for doing this, dude.
Yeah, no problem. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm actually kind of bummed to be leaving Hamilton. I mean, just next door is their arena, and SGA and Team Canada men's basketball team, they're playing Jamaica tonight in a FIBA World Cup qualifier. I wish I would have known that. I would have tried to stick around a little bit, but
Just about to say, a little flight change. I'm sure you got a little bit of time, but tough to pull off. Anyways, let's get to it last night. I'd love to just dive right into the game, but let's face it, the big story was all season long. The story has been quarterbacking in the CFL, and 2 guys that are going straight to the Hall of Fame neither finished the game last night. It did sort of make a big black cloud over last night's game.
yeah, I wish I could even put into words just what a damper that put on the evening. I mean, you could seriously hear a pin drop when Bo went down and the ambulance comes onto the field, and just the rest of the game, the crowd was dead, and rightfully so. How could they not be? I mean, Bo Levi Mitchell, this is a guy who is going to be a Hall of Famer, obviously, and despite everything that he's accomplished already in his career, you could argue that this season he's looked maybe better than ever. I mean, he's coming off of back-to-back perfect quarterback rating games, and he had a chance to be the first guy since Warren Moon to do it three weeks in a row. So see him go down, I mean, it's heartbreaking, obviously. And I mean, you have to feel terrible for Hamilton, of course. I mean, they have the longest Grey Cup drought in the league. You can just feel the excitement around this team this year. Through 3.5 games, they've looked like a legitimate Grey Cup contender, and now an ambulance takes Bo Levi and basically their season along with it. So it was terrible. And after the game, I'm walking, I'm taking the stairs down to get to the main level to get to the locker room to talk to some Bombers, and so I'm kind of walking through all these fans and stuff. And honestly, Haas, I felt like they were marching to a funeral. Like, there was just like, it was dead silent, despite the fact I'm walking through hundreds of people. Everyone has these, just sad, depressed looks on their faces. And it was awful. Like, it was supposed to be a great night of football yesterday, with 2 future Hall of Fame guys. And then Zach Claris goes down, and then Bo. And yeah, I mean, the Bombers won, but honestly, Haas, there were no winners last night. That just sucked for everyone involved.
Yeah, I mean, listen, obviously with the timing and then the extra delay getting the ambulance back, that was, and certainly for the home fans, the Bo Levi Mitchell was a big, but for the Bombers, the loss of Zach Collaros early was a big one too. I mean, a lot of people had been clamoring to see Taylor Elgersma. You didn't want to see it in that fashion and this early in the season. First off, just tell us about Zach's condition, what you saw, and if they said anything to you after the game.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch the hit, I mean, he doesn't get totally lit up, but I mean, anytime a quarterback gets hit from the blind side, that's obviously pretty scary. So, of course, in typical Mike O'Shea fashion, he didn't share anything about Zach, but it is, of course, an encouraging sign that Zach was standing on the sidelines for the entire game. He had his helmet on up for most of that as well, at least early on. So I think if it was up to him, maybe he would have got back in there, but they held him out. And after the game, I saw him in the locker room. Wasn't like he was getting ushered away, to get worked on or seen by some medical staff or anything. He was just kind of sitting in his locker on his phone. So, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychic. I can't, really predict the future or say exactly what it is that he's going through, but they did list it as upper body. So we'll see what that means moving forward. But obviously, this is going to be kind of a question this whole week because the Bombers, they're off today. They're off Tuesday. Wednesday's a closed practice, and then Thursday's the walkthrough day, which is the day when they will announce the depth chart. So Huss, all of us, honestly, we're going to be in the dark pretty much until Thursday.
Well, listen, this brings us into the other situation just about the Bombers quarterback room overall. And again, we'll get to everything else that happened in the game. But, the Bombers were being lauded on the broadcast for being proactive. They got burned by this last year when Zach Collaros got hurt. They went out and got Drew Brown, except he was holding a clipboard yesterday. Taylor, take us through the week and how they figured to set the roster as it was and what Drew Brown's roster status was for this game, obviously unable to get into it.
Yeah, so they had him on the reserve roster. Obviously, like you said, he was in street clothes, and we kind of saw this coming because earlier in the week when they did have some open practices, or an open practice, I should say, he wasn't really getting any reps. It was still Taylor Ellersma working with the two. So we kind of thought this was going to be the case. And obviously a week is not a lot of time to, get chemistry and on the same page with your receivers and O-line and learn a new playbook, obviously. But this is a much different situation, Huss. I mean, Drew Brown broke into the CFL with the Bombers not that long ago. He played 3 seasons for the team. And yes, the roster isn't entirely the same, but there's still a lot of familiar faces on this team. He didn't have to introduce himself to 50 new guys. And honestly, more importantly than that, Huss, the Bombers OC, Tommy Condell, that was his OC in Ottawa these past 2 years. So, puzzling because again they had a full week of practice too. It wasn't like he came in on a short week. Like he arrived in Winnipeg late last Sunday. The trade happened 12 days before the game last night, and yet they held him out. So it's puzzling because the Bombers, we all know they could have got Drew Brown in the offseason for free, right? He's on the last year of his deal in Ottawa. Clearly he wasn't Ryan Dinwiddie's guy. They could have signed him for free, no problem. And yet they decided to pay a premium for him. And now, because they wanted that Zach Collaros insurance, they traded potentially, depending how much he plays next year, assuming he resigns with the team, they traded potentially 2 first-round picks for the guy. So why are you being patient with him? This is a trade you made for 2026. And yet, he's in street clothes when you obviously very much need him. So if Bo Levi did not go down, there is absolutely no, and this isn't a knock on Taylor Ellersma by any stretch, but if Bo Levi Mitchell did not go down, there is absolutely no way a 24-year-old rookie Canadian quarterback playing in his first game outduels the great Bo Levi and leads the Bombers to a comeback victory on the road. Not going to happen.
There was some vibes of the Strevler game in Ottawa where they weren't letting the quarterback do too much passing wise, and they were running the football. And we'll get to running the football later on, like the fourth quarter. That was Blue Bomber football because you sort of took the QBs out of the games. But overall, Ellersma, they weren't crazy numbers, relatively efficient. It really seemed that they kept the playbook about as vanilla as possible for the rookie. But to his credit, he did not turn the football over. And it seemed at that point, this was sort of a battle of wills between two teams for the second half.
Yeah, well, Mike O'Shea said they didn't want to dress Drew Brown because he didn't want him to play or potentially play and not have the full playbook. It's like, okay, but what we saw at Taylor Ellersma, there's no way that was the full playbook. No offense to Taylor, but I could have done a little shuffle pass to Pokey Wilson for that 31-yard touchdown. Years from now, he could tell his grandkids his first CFL touchdown was a 31-yard touchdown strike. But it's just a little flip to Pokey, and he did the rest. And then, on that final drive, he just handed the ball off to Brady 7 times in a row, and rightfully so. You got one of the best players in the league in Brady. It's crunch time. You're on the road. You got the rookie quarterback. Give him the ball. They would have been silly not to. But yeah, like you said, Taylor didn't make any obvious mistakes, and that's all you can really ask for, I guess.
I mean, on the other side of things, I mean, Hamilton has certainly a more experienced backup quarterback, and nothing was going on with Trey Ford when he came in. And listen, there'd been a lot of questions about the Bomber defense, especially coming out of the Week 2 game against Hamilton. Bo Levi Mitchell been playing at a really, really high level, but you got to give the Blue Bomber defense credit for holding them in and being able to keep that game where it was for as long as they did, knowing that they themselves on their side of things did not have their offense running it anywhere close to full year.
Totally. And yeah, like if you just look at that first half alone, when Bo was still in the game, the Bombers defense was playing well. They made them settle for a few field goals and whatnot. But then, of course, the second half, Trey Ford and Jake Dolagala, I think those two could make me, you, and Remo look like pretty competent defenders as well. Those guys were just dreadful. But yeah, I mean, that was the best game the Bombers played defensively. The touchdown they gave up in the first quarter wasn't their fault. I mean, Zach throws a pick on the first play of the game, gives Hamilton a short field. So, yeah, the Bombers, that was far and away their best game on defense. Very encouraging. But again, Trey Ford and Jake Dolagala definitely made it a little bit easier for them down the stretch for sure.
Now, listen, if Blue Bomber fans want a little bit of optimism moving forward, outside of the obvious winning a game that was very much up in the air and good teams find a way to win, I think of when the Bombers turned into the power that they were, it was on Canadian talent, but it was also on the power of their offensive line, power of their running game. And holy smokes, in the fourth quarter, but especially that last drive, that was vintage Blue Bomber football. Everyone knew what was happening, and Hamilton was not able to stop it. And you're able to run almost the full 3 minutes down, Taylor, and set up a chip shot for Sergio Castillo. I'm sure the Bombers were feeling very good about their ability to finish the game the way they did last night at Tim Hortons.
Yeah, well, I asked Brady about it afterwards, and he said, this is why they pay me the money that they do. It's to run behind this great old line and get the job done when we need it. So, and he said there's no better feeling in the world when the other team knows you're running the ball, play after play after play, and they still can't stop you. So, yeah, I mean, the Bombers obviously made the right call in that last drive. Let's lean on Brady. Let's play Brady ball. And no, those last two quarters were not pretty by any stretch of the imaginations, but the Bombers just did enough to get the job done. And I mean, and Major Williams too. I mean, that's a rookie corner on the Bombers. Hamilton was going after him. They were really testing him, and he held his own, and he had that clutch interception down the stretch as well when the Ticats had the ball and they're up 13-11 and had a chance to make it a 2-score game. But Major makes that pick, gives the Bombers a shot to have that last drive to win the game, and Brady gets the job done. So yeah, it was a weird night. Lots of crazy, wild things. I mean, this is the CFL. It seems like it's the case every week. I mean, even Sergio Castillo slipping on the field on that field goal in the first half, that long attempt he had, just nothing was really going anyone's way. But the Bombers, to their credit, they hung in there, and no, it wasn't pretty, but sometimes you got to win ugly, especially on the road, especially when there's a bunch of wild things going on. And the difference between 1-3 and 2-2, I know it's early in the year, but it's pretty massive. So, yeah, we haven't seen great things from this Bombers team, but to be 2-2, I mean, that kind of buys them some time to figure things out.
Taylor, in an interesting way, I mean, there's a little bit of irony at the way the Bombers won the football game, because running Brady Oliveira over and over and over again is not really the first page of the Tommy Condell playbook. And in some ways, it sort of feels like Mike O'Shea grabbed it at the end. Now, I'm not suggesting that at all. I mean, they knew exactly what they were going to do, and they executed it that way. But the fact that the Bombers still have this club in their bag, and the fact that the offensive line showed the way that it did, this is a very positive development for the Bombers, considering the question marks at the quarterback position that, to your point, probably won't really be answered until we get to Princess Auto Stadium on Friday night.
Yeah, regardless of who's under center next week or on Friday, it's going to be Brady ball for sure. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I have a hard time thinking that they'll roll with Taylor again if Zach can't play. You paid for Drew, give him a shot, right? 2 full weeks of practice, you'd imagine he'd be ready to go. But again, time will tell. The Bombers like to keep us in the dark, and I'm sure they're going to do that again this week for sure.
Did you talk to Elgersma at all after the game? What did he have to say about his first meaningful game time? He certainly looked fired up after getting the win at the end of 60.
Yeah, obviously it's a weird kind of situation for him to walk into for his first game, but I mean, also kind of a cool night for him as well. I mean, he's from London, Ontario, not too far away. He was part of that youth sports internship program with the Ticats a few years ago as well, and he's out on the field, and he does just enough to help the Bombers get a win. And of course, I mean, he knows that his QB2 job isn't going to be his for much longer. Everyone knows that the Drew Brown trade was made not for Drew Brown to be the QB4. It's for him to take Taylor's job. So for him, good chance he doesn't play again this year. So at least he could go into the second year of his, CFL career knowing that, hey, he's been on the field before, didn't make any major mistakes, and got a win. So yeah, we did talk to him afterwards, and basically he credited Tommy Condell for giving him a good little pep talk before he got in there, just to kind of settle him down, and just said, hey, like the O-line, they did great around me. The receivers, they made some good plays, and Brady was Brady, of course. So everyone kind of made my job easy on me, and I really appreciated that. And when Zach went down, my mindset just had to kind of go to like, okay, let's figure it out, and let's do what I got to do to help this team win. And kudos to him, he got it done. So no, we didn't throw the ball downfield and do any kind of spectacular plays, but again, he didn't make any mistakes, and sometimes that's really all you can ask for from your quarterback when they're that young and in that kind of situation, again, on the road.
Taylor Allen of the Winnipeg Free Press with us here at Winnipeg Sports Talk. Listen, I know we're only a month into the season, and this is the 4th game of the year, and many people say, erroneously in my opinion, that the season doesn't really start until Labor Day. But this win prevented the Bombers from being in a very precarious situation, almost similar to where they were last year when Zach Collaros got hurt. I mean, 1-3 in the division right now would have had you tied with BC in last place. Now the Bombers find themselves just 1 game back of Saskatchewan. But I will suggest, Taylor, that this division is good enough and talented enough, and it's close enough within the teams that, barring major injuries to a couple teams and nothing to the other, this is probably going to come down to, I would suggest, the last final few games of the season when it comes to making the playoffs, when it comes to winning the division. We could very well look back to Elgersma coming in and Brady and the guys finding a way as one of the most crucial victories of the season, considering just how tight the West is right now moving into week 6.
And with that said, that also kind of makes Mike O'Shea's decision not to keep harping on this, but his decision to again not start Drew Brown even that more kind of crazy. Because again, if Bo Levi didn't go down, there's no way the Bombers win. And even though Bo did go down, Taylor just barely got them across the finish line. Where with Drew Brown, even with 20% of the playbook, that's not a 14-13 game. The Bombers more than likely would have scored more points of that and got the job done in a much more efficient and cleaner fashion. So, yeah, I mean, every win counts. I mean, can teams bounce back from 1-3? Absolutely. But again, you don't want to be that team having to do that. And the Bombers have kind of put themselves in that hole before, and it's not easy getting out of it. Again, it can be done. But yeah, I mean, this West is, coming into this year, we all knew it was going to be a dogfight. And, Edmonton is making it, even more interesting. I know people thought they'd be on the rise, but I mean, they're here. They're looking good. I know they're coming off a loss, but yeah, it's going to go down to the wire. Absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised, if, whoever ends up in first in the West. I mean, I think you can make an argument for a few teams right now, and BC, obviously they're better than what their record is, and I'd imagine their defense is gonna get better. So yeah, it's gonna be entertaining for sure. But that's just kind of again a bummer from last night. I mean, these first 3-4 weeks of the season, the CFL's been awesome, like so entertaining. These offenses have just been rolling. It's been great to watch. Basically every game has been going down to the last 3 minutes, going down to the wire, and it was all kind of sunshine, lollipops and gumdrops in the CFL, I felt like, right? And then last night was just like, yeah, so much for that. So hopefully, Zach isn't out for too long. Hopefully, and I have absolutely no idea if he can, but hopefully Bo can come back late in the year. I don't know if that's possible. Because, yeah, I mean, CFL has just been so much fun this year, and hopefully last night wasn't a sign of things to come for the league moving forward.
Well, listen, I mean, I'll just echo what you just said, and hopefully there is a way. We don't have any confirmation on what Bo Levi's Mitchell's full injury is and what his status moving forward is. But, I mean, there was a time a few years ago where we expected Bo Levi Mitchell at this point to be maybe a 3 or 4 year veteran of the TSN panel. And yet he's been playing as well as anybody in the league. And on that note, I remember with Hammer doing CFL 110 last week, and we were like, okay, is the East sort of caught or surpassed the West? And then this was a real reality check weekend. Toronto loses. Hamilton loses their quarterback and loses. Ottawa goes to 0-4, while all the teams in the West outside the ones that were head-to-head won. And it kind of feels like we're back to where we're normally at, an incredibly competitive West division, and Montreal, and then everybody else. Just finishing up the quarterback conversation. I mean, when you spoke with Mike O'Shea afterwards, was there indications that Drew Brown will get into practice and be that guy next week, or was it more just talking about last night's game and we're all on a need-to-know basis for the quarterback job for the Argos game on Friday?
Yeah, it was more about last night's game and kind of questioning him. Excuse me, I'm battling an awful cold right now. I'm playing hurt right now. But yeah, no, it was more so about the game last night and just his decision again not to dress Drew Brown and whatnot. So no clarity on that. And even if we did ask, there's no way he would have shared anything anyway in typical good old Mike O'Shea fashion. But yeah, I would be, again, I'd be absolutely shocked if Drew Brown is not the starter next week, if Zach can't go again. You know, Zach watched the game from the sideline. He was in the locker room afterwards. Who knows? Could have just been more of a precautionary thing as opposed to him being seriously hurt. But, you know, obviously I can't read anyone's mind on that one. But, yeah, never a dull moment with this team, honestly. And it's just like... honestly, just kind of crazy. You make that big trade for Drew Brown, and you kind of think, okay, yeah, I'm sure maybe at some point they'll need him and whatever. And then you blink, and the very next game, Zach goes down. So, yeah, the football gods like to play some crazy tricks sometimes. That's for sure.
I'll say this: whether it's Drew Brown, Taylor Elgersma, or Zach Collaros is able to go, they'll certainly want to start better next game. I mean, that's back-to-back games with a a turnover or, an immediate 7-0 deficit that, for a team, frankly, that compared to the rest of the league was already somewhat offensively challenged. They had the least points in the league going in. I mean, you really don't want to be playing catch-up from the 58-minute mark of football games, and I'd imagine that'll be a real focus for the Bombers, playing clean right out the gate.
Yeah, and that's funny. We've been talking for however many minutes, and that's been kind of buried by everything else that went on in that game yesterday. But yeah, the Bombers, they were absolutely dreadful at the start of the game against Edmonton last week, and all week they're harping on, okay, we got to start fast, got to start physical, got to take good care of the football. It's like, okay, cool. And then the game in Hamilton starts. Very first play of the game, Zach staring down Tim White on a curl route. And boom, picked off. And it's like, you've got to be kidding me. And again, the defense, short field. When your defense is struggling already this season, and you're going into Hamilton against maybe the best offense in the league, or one of at the very least, you're going to start the game by putting them on a short field. Not exactly doing them any favors. So, yeah, the defense, to their credit, they made enough plays in that second half to give Taylor, or first half, to give Taylor a chance. Shout out to former Bison Colin Cornelison. He had a big pass knockdown on the red zone after Newer Gattuth had that roughing the passer call. So yeah, the defense, they made some plays, but yeah, again, it's mind blowing how these Bombers keep coming out of the gates and stumbling. That's not usually in their way these past few years. So you'd think that'd be something they'd be figuring out, but clearly that was not the case yesterday. But again, they. I hate to use the word lucky, but in a way, they really did get lucky with unfortunately what happened. Because if that didn't happen, they're probably not 2-2 right now.
Yeah, the special teams wise, there was a bit of good and bit of the bad. You mentioned the missed field goal early on. I know late in the game that the Sheehan punt that went out of bounds is something that I'm sure they'll go over. But once again, Trey Vavel man, he's dangerous right now. And it seems like every time he's getting the ball, Taylor, there's a little bit of daylight, and it seems like it's only about a matter of time before he breaks one.
Totally. Like every time it feels like every return he's made a few guys miss and made a nice, a few nice plays and whatever. So he's due for sure. And you look at the Hamilton's return game, they were awful yesterday. So special teams makes a big difference. We don't always talk about it and whatever, but I mean, that's one of the Bombers' biggest strengths, if not their biggest strength. So yeah, Trey, I wouldn't be surprised if in the coming weeks he takes one back for sure.
Just going into this weird home or road/home game against Toronto. Very short week for the Bombers. This is Friday night. You mentioned that, we won't see a lot of them beforehand, but just a quick thought on this matchup coming up against the Argos, who offensively have looked, up there with anybody in the Canadian Football League. They've got 150 points through 4 games. The problem is that they've given up 153 and are coming off getting absolutely nuked by Vernon Adams and the Calgary Stampeders, who put up the 50-burger. Be an interesting challenge. I know the quarterback situation for the Bombers will be a huge story this week, but they're going to need to figure out a way to stop Chad Kelly in that offense first and foremost.
So here's the crazy thing. Argos head coach Mike Miller, a veteran, a very impressive background. Obviously, he has Chad Kelly rolling. He interviewed for the Bombers OC job last year. There were some rumblings. So Bombers would have had a guy like him working with Zach and Brady and whatnot last year instead of good old Jason Hogan. So they talk about head-scratching moves. There's one for you. But this Argos team, obviously they're rolling. Mike Miller, big shoes to fill with Brian Dinwiddie, and he's got that offense humming along. Like you said, the defense, they're a bit of a weakness right now. So yeah, that could be potentially, if Zach's playing, who knows? Maybe that could be a shootout. We'll see. But if Zach's not, who knows? That'll be an unpredictable one for sure. But the Bombers, after losing 2 games in a row at home, have a hard time believing that they can lose 3 straight at home. But this team has been pretty hard to put a finger on so far this year. So who knows? Maybe I shouldn't be surprised about anything at this point.
Taylor, thanks so much for doing this. The full recap of the game and the write-up is in the Winnipeg Free Press right now. We'll look forward to your coverage of the Bombers throughout the week as they get ready to get back to Princess Auto Stadium Friday night against the Toronto Argonauts. Taylor, travel safely, pal. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, you bet.
Great stuff with Taylor Allen. Appreciate him jumping on today. I did see in the chat a lot of people mentioning our buddy Hammer. I've got good news. While he has left the Winnipeg Free Press, he is not leaving WST. Far from it, everybody. So maybe he'll want to talk about it tomorrow. He will join me live 10 a.m. on CFL 110 for our weekly trip around the 3-down league. If you've seen his Twitter feed, he's as locked in as he has ever been on the Canadian Football League. And we're also not losing him on WST. So he'll be joining us coming up this week as well. So don't worry about Hammer. Mike's going to join us in just a minute. This show is also brought to you by our friends at Princess Auto. Princess Auto Stadium was rocking on the weekend. The Country Thunder, I guess, on Friday, and the Motley Crue show, which let's just say had mixed reviews. Interesting if any of you had there. Let us know how Vince made it through the show. But right now, Princess Auto Stadium, Friday night for the Bombers. Princess Auto flagship store every day for the gearheads out there. This store has to be seen to be believed. Talked to a few other people that brought it up to me on the week and going, I cannot believe the new Princess Auto. 500 Panet Road. Come hungry. Give yourself plenty of time because you're going to need to see it all in their brand new flagship store for the company, which is now coast to coast, but headquartered and founded right here in Winnipeg and now featuring the biggest and best location in the country. Find out more online, princessauto.com, and we'll see you Friday at Princess Auto Stadium. Shout out to the Derminator and the gang out at Chud's Power Sports. Manitoba's power sports superstore. We're now into summer. And, unfortunately, with the weather we've had, some of these ATVs and Argo vehicles probably needed, out in the west part of the province and some of the areas here that have been completely deluged by water. But for those that are able to, get out and get away or not affected, it's a great time to get on your motorcycle, get out on the water on the boat, take a trip on an RV. Chud's Power Sports has it all with the best in new and used inventory for motorcycles, ATVs, side-by-sides, golf carts, outboard motors and boats, recreational vehicles, and Argo and Polaris off-road vehicles. They're up in Gimli. They've been doing it for over 80 years as the most trusted and best power sports store in the province. Pop by and visit them, corner of Highway 8 and 231. And you can also check them out online with all their latest promotions and deals at chudspowersports.com. Shout out to our friends at St. Vital Dental Center, Dr. Terry and the gang there. Folks, if you're looking for a great full-service dental clinic that can handle clients from 6 months to 99 plus with a full array of dental services from cleanings and checkups to things like dental implants, St. Vital Center does it all with an incredible team of people led by Dr. Terry James. They're also great supporters of ours, Winnipeg Jets and more. And we'll be more than happy to take care of you. They got a beautiful new facility as well, 167 St. Anne's, convenient free parking right behind the building. If you're looking for a new long-term home for you and your family, for a great dental clinic, make it St. Vital Dental Center. You can make an appointment, I should say, online at stviteldental.ca. And hey, shout out to the gang of Boston Pizza. Was out at BP, packed Boston Pizza Taylor for the Canada game on Saturday. Great promos continue throughout the World Cup. You can get your baller card and be in for all the great prizes they've got, including those massive FIFA soccer balls. Check out the new summer menu as well. Some great new treats on that one. And action tonight at your local BP will be the Belgium-USA game. Lots of talk about that one coming into it. We'll see Flo Balogun on the field. Great amounts of controversy and what should be a great game tonight. Spain and Portugal getting going right now. I imagine the BPs are a little busier than they normally are in the middle of the afternoon. All right, let's bring in Mike McIntyre from the Winnipeg Free Press. Mike, what's going on? What a sports weekend. I know you've sort of not been World Cup guy in the past, but surely you as a sports guy have been getting into this tournament. It's been absolutely phenomenal.
I am so invested, Huss. I can't get enough of it. The Mexico-England game last night, that was as good of theater as like a Game 7 of the Stanley Cup final. I think at one point the announcer said, and I concur, that it's too bad there wasn't like another 100-minute. Like I could have watched that game just go on and on and on. It was such great theater. Yeah, I mean, obviously too bad about Canada. It was a nice run, a nice story, but my goodness, the skill and the storylines and the environment and atmosphere has just been fantastic. I don't know who it was. I just saw a hilarious post on, I think it was on Blue Sky, where somebody said, special guest referee for tonight's U.S. game. And it's a picture of Vince McMahon wearing like a referee shirt cut off. The Americans certainly are embracing the villain role. That is for sure. But yeah, it's been great theater. Love every minute of it.
Well, the funniest thing about it is, there was all the usual, probably especially on Blue Sky, like going into the event. Oh my God, everyone's going to get arrested. It's too dangerous to go to the States. And then the first month of the tournament has been everyone saying, oh my God, like this is incredible. And it's been the most amazing thing, frankly, for the States. And I would say Canada and Mexico as well, but especially USA. And then for this to happen in the fashion that it happened has just added a whole nother level that gets it back to some good old CONCACAF football where suspicious and dubious administrative decisions are part of what we do here in this part of the world.
Did you see the video of the was it the Mexican fans outside Team England's hotel the other night?
Yeah.
Like setting off fireworks like in the middle of the night.
Welcome to CONCACAF. That is what that is what Canada has to deal with.
Yeah.
Every single time they play on the road in World Cup qualifying, with the exception of in the United States. Like Canada and the United States have been getting this sort of treatment for years. Like for us, it's just the way that it goes. But the Europeans are like, what is going on? They've got to handle it. But I mean, it is wild how it combines all these different cultures into these matches that is kind of unifying around the globe. I mean, it is the same game and everything. And there's so much onto it. I saw a video of a guy at the England game yesterday. It was just like in his seat, and whatever, he's filming with his phone, and like one of the Mexican fans turns around, looks at him, and just goes, like you had to have big stones to wear your England kit into Azteca last night. And just as your point, you could have had 100 more minutes. You know who couldn't? The English. I think that if Mexico had scored at the end of that game, they might have won 7-3 because. I mean, that altitude, Mike, it's 7,700 feet. Like, to put it in perspective, Denver is 5,200. So you're looking at like another 50% above at Denver. So, I mean, gutsy performance by the English. And I'll tell you what, we're going to be watching tonight. I can't wait to see the TV numbers from the Canada game.
Oh. Should be huge. Yeah.
I would imagine that is going to rival, like the Golden Goal. Like I think that will rival some of the biggest TV audiences we've ever had for a sporting event.
Especially being on a Saturday and like at noon, it was the perfect time. How about one of my favorites was Harry Kane's post-game interview last night, where he had no voice, trying to croak out a few words. That was incredible.
It was fun. They were all singing Wonderwall, and then Liam Gallagher was going at it with other fans on X. It's been great. Hey, listen, I want to get to the Jets and the NHL story. This is brought to you by your Prairie Toyota dealers. And the Toyota Tacoma, featuring the standard I-Force engine, boasting an impressive towing capacity of up to 6,400 pounds. In fact, it's the most powerful Tacoma ever. So whether you're hauling gear to the rink or heading to an away game, you can tackle it with ease. And the available panoramic multi-terrain view monitor gives you a live underfloor view to navigate even the toughest terrain. Experience power, capability, and convenience with the Toyota Tacoma. Now you can lease a 2026 Tacoma from $110 weekly at 5.69% APR for 60 months with $70.99 down. It's time for Toyota. Mike, well, listen, late on Friday, we got the bombshell from the league. Like, we'll get to the Jets in a minute in development camp.
Yeah.
I mean, thoughts on the offer sheet to Leo Carlsson and the reverberations around the league, but what is basically looking like a nuclear bomb to the cap setup of the Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah, it really is. And, Pat Verbeek, what's the expression? Reap what you sow. This is his hard-nosed style of negotiations, kind of blowing up in his face, quite frankly. This is a guy, and I've certainly heard it over the years as well, that he's not a favorite among agents, players. He was a hard-nosed player on the ice, and he's continued that as an NHL executive. And, all indications are like Leo Carlsson would have gladly had a new contract in place if it was up to him and his agent, and it was Verbeek who kept kicking the ball down the road. Well, now that ball has left the yard, and, just forget for a second about what this potentially does to Anaheim. This has league-wide ramifications on so many things. Like, the salary structure how many players are now going to use this as you know, a new benchmark, if you will, for, you know, what a contract should look like? How many other offer sheets is this going to spur, you know, where teams try to take advantage of each other? And I'm all for it. Like, forget
do you
about
think
this.
there'll be any more? Like, I really don't. Because
I think it's probably done now with the filing of arbitration. Like, a bunch of guys just, you know, because they filed yesterday, like, they're now off the table, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, part of the reason is the Ducks left themselves wide open for this because they didn't get that stuff done. And, you know, Verbeek said, we will match any offer. Okay, well, that doesn't change the fact that if you get something like this, you're going to be in a really bad situation.
Yeah.
And his bluff was called, basically. And I mean, listen, like, how many players are teams signing up to give up 4 first-round draft picks for? Dude, that's a short list. And like the Mintyukov one, and he, of course, signed a deal for way more. I mean, they were looking to get him done in the Owen Zellweger range, which was $3.1 million. He's making 7.2 now. Like, to me, this is the biggest gaffe in general like the biggest front office gaffe in the league, probably since Dale Talon forgot to file the paperwork to retain RFA status on Cam Barker, and I can't remember the other player that was involved in that.
There's also the Ottawa Senators whoops-a-daisy on not recognizing the no trade protection on a guy they traded, right? Which cost them. Now they got their pick back, so I guess under new ownership. But yeah, I mean, there's been some doozies, but this is right up there. And Huss, like, how does Pat Verbeek survive this? If you're the ownership of the Anaheim Ducks, you've got to be thinking about letting this guy go, right? I mean, with what he's now, like, Anaheim was a team that I think most people would agree was on the rise. They made the playoffs this year. They beat Edmonton. They had all these young stars. They are now in a world of hurt. And if they match this offer sheet, like, how do they get Cutter Gauthier signed now?
Well,
this might be the ultimate FU Cutter.
Yes.
Which is what the Flyers fans chanted, by the way, when he made his return. This was Briere and company with a bit of an FU Cutter as well.
Well, listen, I firmly believe that. I think there's a major vindictive streak in Philly, and some of those other, I mean, these guys are all incredibly competitive. And they were very pissed off the way that went down. They ended up having to trade him for Drysdale and a second-round pick, and then he goes out and scores 41 goals. And I think they looked at this situation going, okay, well, we're either going to get a guy that we would pay 4 first-round picks for, and we're going to have to inflate his salary, but whatever. We're willing to do that. And if it doesn't happen, they got a major problem on their hands, and it's probably going to end up with the guy that screwed us getting screwed. I mean, what's he going to be able to do? A 1-year deal? I mean, either that or, I mean, now all these other teams, we got to get rid of Kreider or Vetrano or someone. Okay, well, good luck doing that at fair market value. So it's fascinating. Yeah. And as I say, the reason why these don't happen very often, as much as everyone goes, we should have 1 million offer sheets, is that there is compensation, there's rules to it. Not to mention, as we saw in the Montreal and Carolina saga, do it once and you better have your head on a swivel because people will be looking at getting it back to you.
You know, like the Barrett Hayton one is a little more sensible, Huss. Like, that's just a second rounder as compensation. And I guess what I wonder is why more of those don't happen. Like the Barrett Hayton type of offer sheets that, you know, there's a player that New Jersey said, well, you know, we would like this player. We'd be willing to give up a second rounder. Absolutely. And, you know, Utah may be a team that they've got some young guys coming up that might fill the hole if they let Hayton go. Like, and although that being said, Huss, it appears that there's also some bitter feelings behind that one as well, because I think the story that's out there is that they had a deal agreed to on draft day for Hayton, and then Utah pulled out at the last second. And I guess New Jersey basically said, well, all right, we're going to go get him anyways. But it's not the same poison pill, if you will, that the Flyers offer sheet. Now, I think a lot of people are saying, or I've seen some people wondering, why hasn't Anaheim made their decision yet? I think if you're Anaheim, you drag this out to the finish line, right? You want to keep Philly in suspense as long as possible as to whether they got to commit this money, because if they don't get him, they might go make some free agent signings or look at other trades. But I what's your gut, Huss? I'm 50-50 on this, whether they match it or not. I honestly, I think you have to match it. I just wonder if, they could take those 4 first rounders, and while there's no guarantee you're getting a Leo Carlsson with any of them, what could you possibly flip any of those first rounders for? And could you piece something together that helps you and keeps your window open? I don't know. It's a head scratcher, and it's great drama.
The toothpaste's out of the tube for the Ducks.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter how they finish, it's not going to be as good as what they could have done if they'd taken care of their business quickly, like most other teams do. They balked at 15, and if they're going to get him, it's going to be 18. So I'm with you. When it first happened, I'm like, well, they match for sure, 100%, no problem. I still think it's highly likely, but I think it's probably more like 85 or 90, and I think they are figuring out other ways to make this happen. But Leo Carlsson,
can we agree on one thing here, universally? And I do not blame Leo Carlsson one iota for this. And I've seen, certainly some hate. Put yourself in his position. If someone's willing to pay you that money, are you going to turn it down?
Answer to that's no. It's a strong all caps no. And there is the question, usually when guys sign, they usually kind of want out too. So,
and yet Elliotte, I believe Elliotte reported on 32 Thoughts today, Huss, that Carlson's camp, when they became aware that this was going to happen, they went back to Verbeek, which is, that's what you would want the player. And Verbeek, I guess, told them to pound sand. Well, how did that work out?
In a disastrous way. Mike, let's get to Jets camp and
Vigo Mania.
Yeah, you want to talk about the star of the show. Remis was just telling us at the start of the program, he was looking at some of our social media numbers, and we had some Vigo thing, some comments and something we put together. It's got 70,000 views. And then we dug into the numbers a little bit more, and half of it's from Sweden.
Wow.
There is an incredible amount of interest over there and certainly over here.
Yep.
And if anyone was thinking that this young man was going to come here and look like just another prospect, they were very much mistaken. You were around. What were the starting off with Vigo, your big takeaways from camp?
You're right about him being a needle mover, Huss. I tweeted a video, I think it was maybe on Tuesday, the first day of the on ice, and it was just I just happened to catch a puck battle where Vigo stole the puck off Lucas Gustafsson, who I was about to say another Swede, but he's not. He's actually American. But Vigo, who's smaller than Gustafsson, steals the puck off him. And it was insane, the numbers that just that one tweet did. And people are looking, I think, for something to feel good about in this market. And my goodness, has Vigo ever provided that? He's the first thing I'll say that jumped out to me, forget about the on ice stuff for a second, is just how charming this guy is off the ice. He is everything you could, I think, hope for. He's going to be a dream for the Jets social media team. I watched, some stuff in the room with him where they were asking him to do some things. Always big smile on his face. He was ready and willing to do anything. My goodness, I asked him on Friday, Huss, if he's got any hand cramping happening, because I don't know that I've seen one prospect sign as many autographs over the course of the week like he did. And just to give you a sense of, this kid, I think it was maybe Wednesday where they had started on one sheet and then they were making their way over to the other sheet to continue their skate. So they were only halfway done, but they had to kind of walk the gauntlet, if you will, through the concourse. And of course, there's a million kids there. Everyone's asking for his autograph. Vigo was almost like apologetic, saying like, I kind of got to go to practice still. Like, we're still practicing, but I'll wait here and I'll get you all when I come back. And true to his word, like the other players, and no, there wasn't the same demand for them. They were long gone to the room and he's still making his way. This is now like 20, 25 minutes after the practice had ended and he's still signing everything. He was a home run off the ice, and the on the ice stuff. I mean, again, it's summer hockey, so you always hesitate to make snap judgments. I'll just say this, and I mean, the scrimmage is where maybe you could judge the most. Like he stood out every second he was on the ice. You couldn't help but notice him. The work ethic, the motor, he just strikes you as somebody who constantly not just wants the puck on his stick, he needs the puck to be on his stick. And, the vision, like people who were there saw the pass he made to Jacob Julian, kind of threw a bunch of traffic to spring him on a breakaway. Then Vigo scored a really nice goal later in the scrimmage, showed off that ability. You saw the competitiveness and the fire. I don't think it could have gone better for the Jets. I guess the only thing that would have been the cherry on the sundae last week, Huss, was to get one more autograph from him. That being on his entry-level contract. And I'm not saying nobody should read anything into the fact, like a few of the first rounders have already signed. I think that's a mere formality at this point. But obviously that's the next step now, right? Especially if the idea is to start him with the Jets, as I really think it is. They got to get his name on a contract here at some point this summer.
Yeah, speaking of that, Remo, can you just grab that clip 11 if you can? I was saving this one for you. Came on. I mean, listen, there's a lot of excitement and hype for Vigo Bjork. We got Braden Yeager as well. We'll see how ready he is for the challenge. But they haven't signed anyone. They haven't got someone right into that spot. There is questions where, could the Jets actually go with a rookie at 2C? Here's Elliotte just from today's 32 on it's youth time for the Jets to bounce back from last season. Reem?
It's youth time. Lambert, Rosane, Solomonson, and he played well at the end. He'll be hurt. He won't start the year, but it looks like it's his time. I thought Ferraro was a really good signing for them. I think he was the kind of player that they could use. Again, 2C, still a big one. I wouldn't be surprised if Bjork is given a chance to show, is he in any way ready for that? Yeager, they've kind of talked about that. I mean, they've got to plug it from within. It's going to be a different team. They signed Skinner. I thought that was a really interesting signing.
All right, so there's Elliotte on that. And listen, I'll be honest. I mean, I was sort of with you. I think he'll be on the team. I'm speaking about Vigo. I think he'll be on the team. I imagine maybe him starting the opener on the fourth line and, getting 10, 12 minutes a game at the start and seeing where he's at. But I think Elliotte makes a great point. I think that some hard lessons were learned last year. You now have a player with this incredible talent that has been doing it against men.
Right.
And it certainly doesn't seem like there's any obvious better option. So, Mike, I mean, should we be talking about maybe having a few different lineups for October? Some of them that will include Vigo Bjork in the middle of the second line behind Scheifele.
I really think we should be. And, there's different ways you could go about that. I think if, let's just assume, Cole Perfetti, I think we would agree, barring something crazy happening this summer, like him being traded. He's on that second line. Like, so are we putting Bjork and Perfetti and then who? One guy I wonder, Huss, because I really think this is somebody that they're going to try up the lineup to take advantage of his size and his speed, is like a Morgan Barron, for example. And I think there's a reason that, you've seen reports out there that the Jets were possibly looking for a 4C. And some people might be, well, don't they have Morgan Barron for that role? Well, no, I think the plan is Barron's probably playing up, probably on the wing, but, either with Lowry, which, let's be honest, Lowry's often treated as a second line or, a 2A or a 2B scenario. But, or you could try Gabe Velarde on the wing with Bjork to get a little more size there. And we certainly saw Velarde as the one that would move off the 55 and 81 dynamic duo. And, there's different options they could try up there. So, yeah, I do think there are options. The Yager thing is interesting to me, Huss, because Elliotte obviously mentioned it in 32 Thoughts. But listen very carefully to the last couple times Kevin Cheveldayoff has spoken to us. The most recent was Friday after camp ended, the development camp. He also spoke just before the draft. If you go and look and pay attention to what he said, he's singled out Braden Yager a couple times now. He praised him on Friday for how he thought he looked at camp. I think there's a reason Cheveldayoff is naming Yager, because I think, and let's be honest, with the way the McGroarty thing, played out, obviously that kind of blew up a bit on this organization. They have a lot invested now in in Braden Yager becoming an NHL player. And I get the sense, as Elliotte alluded to, that he's very much in the mix. Now, whether that's as a center, whether that's a top 6 or a top 9 winger, we'll wait and see. But yeah, I think Yager is for sure going to get a lot of runway here. And then there's the elephant in the room, right? The Hellebuyck situation and what that might bring. And it's hard to fully assess a Jets lineup in October when you still perhaps have one big piece left to, one big card left to be played, and what that would potentially bring back, whether it's a true 2C, whether that's a top 6 winger, whether that's something on the blue line, whether it's a combo platter of all of the above. So, I guess until we see how the Hellebuyck situation resolves here, it's tough to fully gauge what opportunities are going to be there. But I think Bjork and to a lesser degree Yager, they certainly didn't hurt their odds over the past week of really making a push as early as this fall.
Just on the Hellebuyck note, it was interesting hearing Elliotte touch on that. We played it earlier on the show. For anyone thinks that he hasn't requested a trade, I don't know.
He's requested a trade.
Elliotte said that he's not sure that there's a path back for him here. I've been skeptical all along that a team was going to step up and pay what the Jets feel their number one player is worth. And obviously it hasn't come to fruition yet. And that's why we're still here. They were talking, but they didn't get their ask. Who knows whether that comes? Usually if it's going to happen, it probably already would have happened. So if he's still property of the Jets, Mike, do you see issues with him coming back? Could he possibly hold out and just not be around and not get paid? To me, that would be a wild, wild way for this thing to go down, considering, how seemingly happy he's been here his entire time.
No, I don't think that happened. So the path back for Connor Hellebuyck is that the Jets don't hear an offer they can't refuse, and September rolls around and he's a contracted employee being paid a lot of money. And if he wants those checks to show up in his bank account every other week, he's got to report. And yeah, would he be disgruntled? Would he be, grumbling under his breath? Maybe. There's a lot of There's a lot of people that go to a lot of different jobs, Huss, where they're not entirely happy, and they still do their job. And, you know, Connor Hellebuck's a very proud athlete. You know, I wouldn't have concerns that, oh, he's going to sulk and he's going to play terrible because he's pouting. Like, well, athletes have a lot of pride in the job they do. So I think one would be able at that point to kind of separate the personal from, you know, the business end of things. That being said, it probably wouldn't be ideal. And look, I'll be the first to say, Huss, the fact they went and signed Stuart Skinner just screams, absolutely screams, moving on from Connor Hellebuck. I mean, we could break it down and no sense doing that at this point, but the fact that they have the same agent should speak volumes, right? Like Ray Petkow is not saying to Stuart Skinner, hey, Stuart, I found you the best place to go. It's behind my other client, Connor Hellebuck, who they aren't going to be able to trade and is going to play 65 games next year. So this spot for you will see you maybe get 17 to 20 games. Like Ray Petkow didn't advise Stuart Skinner to sign with the Jets, nor did the Jets extend an offer for $3.75 million to a guy they're only planning on playing 15, 20, even 25 games. We can all read the tea leaves. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean they're going to give Connor Hellebuck away. Obviously, here, July 6th, Kevin Shoveldayoff still hasn't liked what he's heard. Will that change between now and 2 months from now when training camp begins? I think everybody involved in this saga is hoping it does. If it doesn't, though, yeah, the fallback plan would be Connor Hellebuck has a contract, and you know what? Hellebuck Skinner, that'd be a pretty dynamic duo in net. In fact, you could make an argument that would be as good as any 1-2 punch in the NHL. I still think that's going to change, but I don't have a timeline to give you on that.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm with you. I don't think Skinner's signing up to be playing 15 games a year behind. No. And to be honest, I was still stunned at how low the contract was on Skinner for 2 years. But I think Ray Petkow and probably Skinner realized that with what we expect to happen at some point, there will be no better opportunity for Skinner to be a starter, play a lot, and hopefully build his value over the next 2 years to another big contract in the end. Mike,
agreed.
Stuff as always. Enjoy the beautiful game tonight, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week on WST.
Huss, no red cards for you today. Great job. Happy to be here.
Thanks, pal. Take it easy. There's Mike McIntyre of the Winnipeg Free Press. We do have the first match on today from the World Cup. It's 0-0 Portugal and Spain right now. While we unfortunately bid adieu to our Canadian team at the World Cup, this incredible tournament continues. And if you're looking for, maybe you're now at peace and going to put your Canada jersey away and you want to grab a Spain or a Norway or an England jersey, the kits are all there at Royal Sports, your World Cup headquarters, including the Trianda ball that they're playing with if you want to actually get out on the pitch. While you're there, checking out their incredible World Cup section, soccer, softball, baseball, tennis, running, a huge selection of bikes, including e-bikes. Royal Sports has it all. Get on down there and see them, 750 Pembina Highway. You can also follow them on Instagram at Royal Sports Winnipeg for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. Fish on the road this week, but they're back on the weekend. Friday night is boy band night at the ballpark. Saturday night happy hour, family day on Sunday. Get your tickets now at goldeyes.com for the upcoming homestand for your Winnipeg Gold Eyes down at Blue Cross Park. Our friends, is this the time where a lot of people are off, a lot of people going out and getting some holiday time? If you are planning your next adventure, start with Travel Manitoba. Whether you're searching for road trip inspiration, hidden gems, or the latest festivals and events, everything you need is waiting at travelmanitoba.com. Looking for ideas on the go? Follow along on social media at Travel Manitoba for real-time inspiration, local tips, and can't-miss experiences from across the province. Or if you prefer a personal touch, stop by the Visitor Information Center at the Forks in Winnipeg. And just before we bring in John Horn, they're back at the track tomorrow night, Tuesday and Wednesday, live racing this week for Assiniboia Downs, 7:30 post time. Remis and I will do our picks tomorrow and Wednesday. Next week, it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Of course, Monday, they've got all those great concession specials and the Wiener Dog races coming up on the 13th. AssiniboiaDowns.com for more information on the entire live racing season. We will see you at the track. All right, let's welcome in our good friend John Horn. Lots going on out in England at the All England. But John, I have to ask you, for someone that covers such international sport, I would imagine that you've been locked in on the World Cup. How have you been enjoying it?
You know what? The World Cup has been outstanding. That England-Mexico first half especially was one of the wildest football matches I've ever seen. But it's been really good. I mean, the Portugal win in Toronto was great. Been some great matches in Vancouver. Great matches overall. And, even I think if you're not quite the soccer football fan that some people are, you've got the hardcores, obviously. But I think what's been good about this World Cup is that you've had a lot of casual sports fans, especially in the U.S., who've been able to get on board with this just because it's been entertaining. There have been things going on and matches have been good and the stars have been good. So you're seeing Messi and Ronaldo and Bob, all the great players playing really well. And I think that's been a huge bonus. So I've been enjoying it. I think it's been great. It's been quite the run for England, I have to say. England not only beating Mexico yesterday with that big win, but they got Wimbledon going on, and they had the F1 race yesterday. Now they've got a guy who's a wild card in the quarterfinals, which has never happened in the history of British tennis. So it's all happening over in England right now. You've got a heat wave going. Everyone's freaking out there because the air conditioning is not happening in England as it is in most parts of Europe. There's no air conditioning. So there's lots going on over there. So England is the center of the attention right now. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, well, I would suggest that right now it'll be Seattle and maybe some FIFA boardrooms that are the center of attention with everything happening with Balogun for that game tonight. But you know what? I mean, listen, obviously, we've been following the Canadian team and we bowed out on the weekend to the Moroccans. But I got to tell you, the Norwegians and this Erling Haaland, who, when you talk about alphas, like alpha males, I think he might be, if we did a power poll of alphas on planet Earth, he might be number one. He doesn't even celebrate like these other soccer guys that run around. He just scores and then almost smirks at the camera. Yeah, I did that. I'm not good. This Norway team and their fans with the rowing, I mean, another great part. And man, they took care of football royalty, really, when we're talking about the Brazilians.
If you're rocking a man bun, you have to have a sense of confidence.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You can go around and, you can sort of smirk and you can look all, the way he wants to look. You can get away with it if you're rocking the man bun and it works for him. But he's another good story because of the fact that not only, people are really getting to know who he is. I mean, if you're a soccer fan, you knew who he was, but now people who are sort of casual fans are getting to know who is this guy and why is Norway so good. He's done a great job of really embracing the North American culture. Like he's been hanging out with people and going to sporting events and saying how much he loves the food and everything. So he's really embracing it. And I think, especially in America, that's what people love is that when, you come over from another country and, whatever heritage you are and you embrace the North American lifestyle and the food, the people, the culture, whatever. And he's done a great job of that, intentionally or unintentionally. But there's definitely a soft spot for this guy just based on the way that he's really embraced being at this World Cup. And it's a great story for Norway. One of many great stories at the World Cup. The fact that they're now into the quarterfinals is pretty remarkable, pretty cool. So and then, at the big celebration at the end too, with the drums and the rowing, all that's pretty cool too.
I mean, listen, we saw two yesterday. I mean, the row for the Norwegians, and then the English singing Wonderwall there in Azteca afterwards. I mean, it was pretty magical. And if you have not seen the video of Haaland going out and shopping for cowboy boots and cowboy hats in Texas after their last match, do yourself a favor and check that out. It is hilarious. Just on this, what do you make of all the controversy going into tonight? Because I think you're exactly right. Like, this had been overall almost unanimously positive. And listen, there was a whole bunch of naysayers beforehand going, oh my God, people have to go to the US. It's so dangerous. And I mean, almost everyone has been going, oh my God, I came in sort of scared, and I've had the greatest few weeks of my life. And the fans have been loving it. The players and the teams have been loving it. And now you know who gets involved. And listen, it was a very controversial call. Balogun probably shouldn't have it. I mean, I'm not enough of a soccer expert I saw what had happened. I figured there'd maybe be some sort of a card. But then when I heard on the Canadian broadcast, the English guy and the Scottish guy going like, that's an outrageous red card, blah, blah, blah. Like they were said it should not have happened. So now this unprecedented reversal happens, and it has put a bit of a cloud over this match tonight. I mean, where are you at on all this craziness?
Well, I mean, I agree with you. I think, we talked about this just a couple of minutes ago, is that I think the World Cup in general has been a really positive experience just across the board. The fans have come out there, for the most part, the stadiums have been packed. The celebrations, the pregame celebrations, whether it's walking down streets or, fan parties or whatever it is, across the board has been great. I've heard really good things at a number of different places. I'm in California right now. Los Angeles has really embraced the World Cup. Atlanta has done a really good job. Kansas City, Seattle, it's gone very well. We saw what happened in Toronto. All those matches were packed, and the fan support. Vancouver has been very good. So I think overall, just as a World Cup, it's been great. I'm a little disappointed that the Canadian team wasn't able to play their matches at home. I think that's a little bit strange how they had to play. Mexico got to play their match at home, so why did Canada not get to play theirs?
They did win their group. I mean, it was there for us. That was on us for not getting the tie.
True. I still think though that they could have arranged it somehow.
Agreed.
That the second place team in the group could have played in Toronto maybe or something. They could have set it up that way. Because Mexico. I mean, yes, Mexico won all their matches, and the U.S. won their group, and so there were more places to play than for the U.S. team. Obviously, Canada only had Toronto and Vancouver. So anyway, but that aside, I'm a little disappointed that didn't happen. But yeah, this whole red card thing, unprecedented for sure. I just think it would have been better, unfortunately, if Trump had just not said anything, which we know never happens. But if he had just all these these rumors and, he got a hold of the FIFA president, he got a hold of so-and-so, and that's why it happened. If he had just said nothing and said, I had nothing to do with it, or just played coy, and it would have been much better. But because of the fact now that Trump is involved and he's admitted that he called, and now he claims today that he doesn't really know how the red cards work, and he's not an expert, but at the same time, he still made a call. And I don't know. I mean, yes, it looks terrible. And of course, because it's the U.S. team, they're thinking, well, is it favoritism now? And the Belgium coach, of course, is blasting the whole thing, and he's upset, rightly so. And so, yes, it does look bad. I mean, I guess it'll look worse if he plays really well, scores, and has a big impact in the game. If he doesn't have an impact in the game and they win, then maybe it cools down. And if Belgium wins, then everybody forgets about it. So I guess that's kind of the way to look at it, but certainly unprecedented. I mean, the fact that, you have I've always said in soccer, I've never really understood why on such a big field there's only one referee anyway. I always think that, most other sports that there's multiple referees. Hockey, there's two now. I think in soccer there should be two referees instead of having just one and going to this, this system where they go and check things out on tape. I just don't really understand it. So I think that if they eliminated that VAR and they just had two referees, that between the two referees they could get the right call. But in all sports, there's always going to be controversy. Was it a red card? Was it not? Even the guy for England who got the red card yesterday. There was some talk that maybe it was an outrageous call, and some people are saying, well, maybe it wasn't because of the way the guy jumped. And so, I mean, it's a discretionary call. But I think once you make that call and it's a red card, now I think you sort of have to abide by, okay, it's a red card, he's out. Should a player be, this is another story, but should a player who gets a red card, should he actually miss the next game? I mean, it does seem a little bit extreme to me. But the rules are the rules. And, now Trump has got himself involved. And unfortunately, this is the biggest problem, is that he's now become involved, unfortunately. So this is where we're at. But it's what's going to happen. So we just got to live with the decision, I suppose.
Well, I'm still very much looking forward to the match tonight. Also looking forward to tomorrow morning out at All England. We got our guy, FAA, Felix Auger-Aliassime, third seed, going into the quarterfinals against the 7th seed. You may have heard of him. Novak Djokovic, arguably the greatest ever to do it. Fill us in on Felix's run to the quarterfinals and the challenge awaiting him tomorrow on the grass of All England.
And neither of those players, by the way, rocking man buns, by the way. This,
they
Felix
can't pull that off. Neither of those guys. They're not alphas like Holland. Come on.
No, and Felix with his new haircut, certainly not. Look, I think it's going to be great. I really think that Felix has a good chance to win this match. I think he's got a better chance now than he's had at any point, just because of the fact that Djokovic is older. Djokovic has dropped a set in 3 of his 4 matches. I know he's won Wimbledon seven times before, and he's the GOAT. But I think he's beatable. He hasn't played a lot of tennis. He hasn't, in my mind, looked spectacular. I thought he played Tsitsipas really well in his second round match. But I think he's beatable. And I think the way Felix is playing, he's the number 4 player in the world, number 3 seed. He's played pretty well. He hadn't dropped a set until the last round. And, last round, he beat 27 aces. He played really strong. Thought he showed good heart, good hustle, good effort. Some great points in that Davidovich-Fokina match in the 4th round. So I think that Felix has got the game. He's at a point now where, his ranking is high. He's won some tournaments. He's gone deeper into some slams. He's equaled, a quarterfinal appearance that he had here at 2021 at Wimbledon. So this is already, matching the best Wimbledon that he's had. I think he's got more experience. He knows how to play the top players. He's only played Djokovic twice. They've split 2 matches. They haven't played since 2022 at Laver Cup. And I think that, Felix has got the game where, if he can get deep into a match against Djokovic, get him into 4 or 5 sets, I favor Felix in this match, just strictly because I think he's the younger player. He's the fitter player. Is he the more experienced player on grass? No. Is he a better player on grass? No. But is he a better player now? I think he is. And I don't think Djokovic is... the guy's 39. He's won a ton of slams, 24. He's a great player, obviously, but I just kind of feel like, as it does to everybody, age catches up to you. And I think Felix has got the game. He'll come to the net. He'll try and finish some points quickly. He'll try and move Djokovic around. As long as he doesn't go through these patches, which he sometimes has, where he makes some silly mistakes in a row, and he loses his concentration for 3-4 games. I think if he keeps it close, gets the first set, I think the first set's important. So he has a lead, and Djokovic has got to fight back. I think he's really got a chance. And if I were to put money down, I would say that Felix is, even though he's the underdog, I think he's the favorite to win, in my opinion, just based on what I've just said.
I love it. Plus 152 for you
there you go.
over at Coolbet if you want. Six seed Taylor Fritz is going to take on the winner of Zverev and the Lehecka. They're on the court right now. Number one seed Yannick Sinner. He's playing a German Struff. The winner of that match will beat the winner of Auger-Aliassime and Djokovic. But just before we go, you kind of teased this early. Tell us about the story of this fairy dude from Great Britain that is into the quarterfinals. I'm sure he's got a lot of hometown or home country support right now as he makes this crazy run.
Yeah, well, it's great because, going into Wimbledon, right off the bat, Emma Raducanu, who's sort of the darling of British tennis, she pulled out with an injury. And then Jack Draper, who's been a top 10 player on the tour, he's been injured a lot lately. He pulled out. So really the two big stars of British tennis, were out before it even started. And then a lot of their other top players bounced out early. Katie Boulter is another player who's a big, well-known British player. She got bounced early, didn't play well. So really, the fact that anybody has done anything at Wimbledon with the big players out, this is spectacular. This Archer Ferry, a young guy, grew up playing tennis not far from Wimbledon. Gets a wild card into the tournament. Wimbledon selects wild cards before the tournament starts. So the advantage of being British is, and you have a tournament in your backyard, is you get wild cards, and it just happens to be a Grand Slam. So he got through a bunch of matches and then played Grigor Dimitrov today, and played really well. Came back from 2-1 down, and the first British wildcard to ever make it to a quarterfinal of a slam. So big moment for him and big moment for British tennis. They're going wild on center court, of course. And, Dimitrov's one of the guys on tour who's just a really likable dude. He's just a very relatable, nice guy. He'll go into media and he'll shake people's hands, just say, hey, how you doing? That kind of thing. He's a really good guy, and he's got a really good reputation on the tour as well. For him to beat Dimitrov, if there was any other player, the crowd would be 100% behind Dimitrov. But this Archer Ferry, it's a cool story. Anytime you get a guy or a female player, it doesn't matter what the deal is. We saw it at the French Open a couple of years ago too, with a player who got into the semifinals, and she was through qualifying. And anytime you get a player who you can back from your home country in a Grand Slam, it's a cool story. So for him to get a wild card and to get through now 5 matches and to beat Dimitrov, who's been in the semis at Wimbledon before, is a great win and a cool story. So, how will he do next? He's got a chance against Caboli, who's really more of a clay court guy. You saw Caboli at the French Open final. But it's a cool story. It's nice to see, and seen it on the women's side too. I kind of like the fact that yes, Sinner is still in the draw, and we got Djokovic as well and Felix. But it's nice to see sometimes other players who you don't really know, or players that you don't get to see regularly, go deep into a tournament. And this is kind of what tennis is about to me. Is that it's not just about the big three as it always was: Djokovic, Nadal, Federer. On the women's side, it's always been Sabalenka and Swiatek and Rybakina, for example. On the women's side, all those three of them are out. So now we're going to start seeing some players that you maybe have only seen in passing, or you don't get to know much about. Like you're going to see Marta Kostyuk, who's had a great run this summer, won a couple clay court tournaments. You're going to see more from some of the other players that you may not know. So I like the story and the fact that a wild card gets into a tournament deep, and then you get to realize who this player is. And maybe he doesn't have a huge background, but you're starting to get to know, hey, look at what this guy's done to get to this point. And it's a cool story for Ferry for sure.
John, always great catching up. Early for you on the West Coast tomorrow, 8:40 a.m. Central. Felix gets going against the Joker for a trip to the semifinal at Wimbledon, the All England Tennis Club.
I got one more thing for you, by the way. Were you at the Motley Crue concert on the weekend that took place in Winnipeg?
Okay, it's funny you asked that. I was not.
Okay.
I was locked into the soccer and whatnot.
Okay, all right.
However, well, here you I'll bite to you, and then I've got something to add. Why do you ask?
I was just going to say, because I know you like your music, and when I knew I was coming on today, the first thing I thought about, I got to ask them about this Motley Crue show, because if you're familiar with Motley Crue, they've been around forever. I think the most famous member of Motley Crue is their drummer Tommy Lee, for a number of different reasons. But I watched some video of that show. And I gotta say, like, I was a huge Motley Crue guy for a lot of years, like way back to the girls situation and the Dr. Feelgood. If you can relate to any of this, if you're a Motley Crue fan, you'll understand. But it has gone downhill like badly in the last few years. And Tommy Lee's still getting it done. Vince Neil, unfortunately, has had I think a stroke or two, and they lost their main guitar player, who's gone, and he was like awesome. And I saw some clips from that show, and it was in Winnipeg, funnily enough. And man, it was hard to watch. So I didn't know if you were there. I was going to ask you if you were there.
I wasn't, but I had the opportunity to go. I said, no, I'm watching soccer. Enjoy. But I did text my buddies, say, hey guys, how was the Crew?
Yeah.
This is the quote. Well, the people watching was epic. Bands were all good except Crew. Vince was as bad and as fried as all the memes. He had about 7 teleprompters on stage.
Yeah.
He was so bad, it was literally awkward. The rest of the band was amazing, but Vince was probably the worst performance by a singer I have seen in my life.
Yeah.
And and then he went on from that. So yes, everything you saw was true. If anyone with us in the chat, if anyone with us live was at the show, I would like your eyewitness testimony to Motley Crue in 2026.
Yeah, disappointing. I mean, look, I feel bad for Vince, because I know he's had a couple of strokes, and he's obviously not what he used to be. And it's just unfortunate, though, that he's gone up there and, he's trying to do it and he just doesn't have it anymore. And, you've heard a little bit about Guns N' Roses, too, is that as much as Slash is great and Duff is great and the band is great, Axl's voice is just not what it used to be. And you need to have that lead singer. Otherwise, it just kills the band. And it's unfortunate that everybody gets old. We talk about Djokovic getting old. And, when singers get old, there are a lot of guys out there in their 70s who are playing. AC/DC is going strong right now, but they just don't have the vocals that they used to have. And I felt bad for Vince up there watching him, because, he used to be able to belt it out and used to be all right. And it just doesn't have it. Looking at teleprompters, doesn't look like he's enjoying himself out there. And, they're coming to Toronto and Vancouver pretty soon too. And it's going to be, I don't know if it's going to even go that far, to be honest with you, just watching the way Vince was out there. But tough. Definitely.
We got second half starting right away. I'll let you get to the game. You can set that alarm early for the FAA match tomorrow. Thanks a lot, John.
You got it, guys. Thanks for having me.
There's John Horn at Sports Horn on X. I see Winnipeg Puck. I had a few friends who were there, said it was the worst concert. They were thankful to be an open bar area to enjoy the night themselves. Running Man, sure hope AC/DC is a good show. I will admit, and Remo, I'll get your take on this. After seeing Tristan Rivers' band, the AC/DC tribute, I can't remember what they were called. People were asking me if I was going to AC/DC, and I said, to be honest, I would way rather go and I think watch one of these tribute bands that basically nail the performance and the sound of the band better than the 40-year version of some of these bands. And I can tell you, I think I definitely made the right choice in missing the Crew on Saturday night.
Yeah, by all accounts, it was the openers, Hailstorm and 3 Days Grace, which really brought it. And I watched some of the videos, and I saw Motley Crue like 3 times in the 2000s, like 04, 05, and 07. And they came a couple times and then signed the cessation of touring. But hey, they're back, and congrats to them. And they definitely, I looked at the set list, it was pretty good. actually, and they played some songs, surprisingly, that they hadn't really been playing during the stadium tour, which was massive. With I forget who was Def Leppard, I think last summer or 2 summers ago. So I didn't go to the show, but I'll give credit to Princess Auto Stadium and the Bombers and the promoters for putting on these shows, because I've been critical on the number of rock concerts, but you just had 3 great shows outdoors at the stadium when we don't really get a ton of those in the Country Thunder, the Rock and Thunder, and the Canada Day show. So I do hope it's an annual thing. We had Def Leppard last year and the Motley Crue. I know Creed is coming next week. I'm looking at tickets for that, Huss. I'm trying to get some guys together. So nice, disappointing we didn't get like Foo Fighters. They went to Regina, not here. We do have AC/DC this summer. So we'll enjoy these older rockers while they're still around.
Foo Fighters is back on tour. Dave Grohl has now come back out in public after impregnating that 19-year-old or whatever he did.
He's a rock star. What do you mean? Like, no, he's a rock. Like, that was like hardly anything.
He is, but let's face it, Dave Grohl did have a bit of a different reputation. Like, he was the good guy. You know what I mean? He was there for all the right causes, and everyone loved him. Family guy, great good old family guy, wife, 3 kids, and then knocks up a girl, I don't believe that much off of one of his own daughters, which is a tough look. You as a dad, I'm sure, would agree.
Yeah, but he plays good music, so it's fine. I don't know. Like, you know what? It's not the first person to do adultery. I mean, Mike Vrabel's still coaching the Patriots, so it's fine. He's fine. I mean, yeah, it's obviously
Vrabel.
awful.
You know what? I'm glad you brought up Vrabel. I don't know how Vrabel got an invite to the Taylor Swift-Travis Kelce wedding.
Well, are you asking? I think they invited like every media person so Kelce can try to get a job after he retires. But I saw they invited people from like Fox and Amazon and not CBS. I'm not sure how. I saw Dean Blandino was there at the wedding.
I know. I wasn't there. Neither was Zach. So that was.
I gotta say, like, Zach Collaros, like, we didn't touch on this. Like, I had joked at the end of the show, like, a couple times saying, like, they gotta let him go to this wedding. Like, this isn't just any wedding. This is, like, the royal wedding of the United States of America on the 250th birthday. And he's just such a team guy. He's not gonna put himself above the team and say, I don't care, I'm going to this wedding. He could have done that, and I think people would have understood. But
he was FaceTiming. He was FaceTiming with Travis and Taylor, and they were out for a walk. And he said, like, guys, check the schedule. How am I supposed to be there? So, hey, listen, speaking of Zach, just hope that he's okay and can get back behind center for the Bombers at some point soon. I'm not sure what sort of updates we'll get all week. But I would think that after it being an upper body injury and missing the rest of yesterday's game with such a quick turnaround before the Friday night kickoff against the Argos, it'll be either Elgersma or Drew Brown when we get in there. Listen, we've got to get to my favorite thing from social media on the weekend. But listen, while we're talking about, we were just hitting a little bit of World Cup. Why not question of the day for not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray? And I will preface this with all of you people that are Canadians that were cheering for somebody else while Canada was in. It's terrible. If you're a Canadian, you should have been there for us and our team. But we're done. So now all bets are off for World Cup. You've got we're going to be down to the 8s after these next couple games. Now that Canada is out, who would you like to see win the World Cup? Let us know in the chat. Why not question of the day for not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray? There is a part of me that wants the States to win just because of the chaos that it would create. Obviously, in hockey, hate them. In most things, actually, going against them. When we play against them, can't stand them. But I would like to see a great performance for CONCACAF. But it's not going to be Canada. Mexico's out. I thought it was going to be Mexico. I still can't believe England was able to win in that setting last night. But I won't go for the chaos. I think I got to go for Norway. I mean, I just want more Erling Haaland. And I mean, they're underdogs in all of their games, and they're winning. What they did to Brazil yesterday was incredible. So I think I might be going on Norway. But let us know in the chat who you got. Who do you want to see win the World Cup? So anyways, Remo, let's get to this. This was the funniest thing that happened all weekend. And, you know, it was funny. We had such a great time at the ball game on Tuesday, heading into Canada Day. And the whole gang was out there. Hammer came, Ken came, and Nick Lyman came from Landing Strip. And, you know, Nick is maybe the most prolific Jets tweeter there is, and obviously does some great content on his own, has a lot of passion. Don't always agree with all of his takes, but definitely love where he's coming from. And that's from wanting what's best for the Jets and definitely a defender of the city of Winnipeg. Now, and this also, I mean, everyone was talking about it. It's sort of like, you know, this goes back, Remis, to the infamous Eyes tweet with Hellebuck, which was heading into our show on Tuesday. So everyone is thinking, oh my God, something's going to happen. I do know, and I won't say who, but a certain member of the media was supposed to join us, but that member all of a sudden got a call from their boss and said they had to be on standby and on call, ready to do a live report because we saw what Kevin Weeks tweeted and it could be something impending. Now, obviously, that didn't happen. So Nick threw this out on Friday, I guess. Weeksy, you're about... Okay, so this was a quote to a tweet, something about a bunch of teams checking in on Mintyukov, which had been reported by a bunch of other people. So he goes, Weeksy, you're about 3 hours behind multiple people making this connection. After the Connor Hellebuck debacle, we are going to need you to stay in your lane and pipe down for the summer. We'll revisit in the fall. Thank you. Which I gotta say was absolutely hilarious. We do not like being trolled by you. If you want to be an insider, you said it, Remo. He needed to be suspended or some sort of a sanction against Weeks for violating the insider code of conduct for this one. But anyways, that was Friday. And then out of the blue, yesterday, 2 days after this tweet was sent, Weeks quote tweets it. He goes, hey, Nick, N-I-K, which is how Nick spells his name. I'm with our family, having dinner, about to do bath time with our kids while hosting friends for July 4th long weekend. It's not my job to make trades for teams. I report the news as it evolves, not as you want it to be. Watch your tone. And then in quotes, Nick, like Nick or whatever your name is. Well, the name is actually Nick. Needless to say, this gets the usual people that want to just jump on somebody. Like, you know, Weeks had a few people in his corner. But Remo, there was a lot of hilarious ones, I think, from certain Jet fans that were still sort of miffed at what happened 2 days earlier that backed our guy Lyman.
Yeah, I agree. I think this was a violation of the insider code of conduct from Kevin Weeks. And I think you need the full context where it was Friday or the morning of June 30th. He posted the eye emoji on a picture of Jacob Markstrom. And then 20 minutes later, did half-head video from his balcony announcing that Markstrom was traded. So, of course, you know, right after that, you know, if you're going to follow it up with the eye emoji and Hellebuck, you think, oh, is there going to be another trade? And, he didn't say anything here. It was just a picture with an eye emoji, just stirring it up. There was no context. There was no follow-up. I thought it was disappointing from Kevin Weeks. Now, we did get a lot of people watching our show, so on one hand, I do appreciate him putting that out there. But I think that is certainly fair for anyone to criticize. Hey, man, you tweeted this out there and then ghosted everyone. And for Kevin Weeks to say, I report the news as it evolves, like what news was he reporting by posting a picture and an eye emoji? What was that? And I can't believe that Kevin even gave Nick the time of day, like 2 days later responding to this. Shows you that he really did hit a nerve. But, I mean, maybe Nick could have worded it in a bit nicer fashion, but I don't think, he's necessarily wrong that, saying, hey, man, you're a couple hours late on this. But maybe Kevin wasn't paying attention. He's doing his own thing. But, I don't think Kevin I don't think Kevin cooked Nick. Everyone's like, oh, get him, Kevin. I don't think he got him at all. So,
first of all, the fact that he's sitting thinking about this tweet for 2 days and in the middle of the long weekend after everyone has long since forgotten it, quote tweeting it, not even just doing a little response saying, beat it, punk, or whatever. He quote tweets it, allowing everyone else to get in on it. And there has been, it's like some of the responses have been so funny. But yeah, it hurts. Yeah, you rage baited a fan base for clicks. Now you're going to set some tone. Now, that being said, you could say the sky is blue and get tow around here. You report the news with a single emoji with zero follow-up. Someone needs to get a pay cut if that's the case. And the thing is, I don't even know. Weeks is an awesome personality in hockey and does a lot of work. None of the insiders would have ever done that. So that's why I don't know whether he is an insider, is just having some fun with occasional information that he gets. But there's no doubt, Reem, that when a guy like that drops something like that, there's a lot of people's attention that gets done. It's great for social media, but I don't know it's great for the brand of Weeks other than to be the eyeball emoji guy. Here's another funny one from Weeks to Nick. Nick, hi, Nick. Yeah, I've built up a brand of putting up the eye emojis to get people to click and make me relevant. I'm not concerned about the details. I'm concerned about clicks. Not providing follow-ups or details is my thing. Pay attention. And then the... What was the other one? I think I maybe actually retweeted it yesterday. There was a couple that were just absolutely classic. The one, and I'll paraphrase this, I believe this one was from, or wait a sec, no, I've got it in here somewhere. I'll pull it up in a minute. But anyways, back to the point I was making. 2 days, Remo, of thinking about this before dropping it on July 5th and claiming to be in the middle of family chaos, hosting people, feeding people, taking kids to bed. And that was the time he decided to quote tweet it. Absolutely bizarre in my book.
I don't know why he would even address that. We get stuff in our inbox, and the last thing I want to do is get into a war of words with anyone from my account or the Winnipeg Sports Talk account. And I can't even believe he took the time to address it. And I don't think he cooked him, as people want to say. I don't think I think he just made an excuse. I think it's disappointing that he just put out the eye emoji with nothing. But at the same time, it was awesome for our viewership that day. So I'm torn.
Nick had a hot weekend too. There was, I think O-Dog actually got in and then deleted the tweet and just blocked him.
Well, O-Dog said he was quitting Twitter a month ago and was back on the next day. People can't help themselves, and he's a guy who needs to just not respond to people. And I see people getting in like big back and forths. Like, that's not how I would conduct myself on there, but I think some people can't help themselves.
Yeah. Oh, listen, once you get into these streets, you never really can leave. As much as people say it, you're like, O-Dog he loves it. He gets on it and wants to fire back. If you get into public, especially when you work for a TSN or Sportsnet, ask Darren Drager. I mean, he has had a couple rough instances as of late. And I mean, all he did, he posted a picture of a sunset yesterday, and my God, well, the comments were exactly as you would expect. Yeah, I mean, just we don't need to go through them. People can read them for themselves. But I guess, hey, you know what? These guys get paid a lot. They got a pretty good job. There are some downsides of it, and that would be it. But Weeks brought that all on himself as far as I'm concerned. Shout out to Nick for riding for the peg. And by the way, Reem, one other funny thing. I had mentioned and gave a lot of credit to the Sportsnet team for still being working, and Bukowskis and Elliotte Friedman cranking out 4 hours for NHL fans at such an important time of the year, which is great. Sportsnet does take an L, though, for tweeting or putting up on their site, promoting a joke tweet from Jets Hub YT that says, hearing Logan Stanley and the Jets are working on a reunion. Speculation is the deal will be 6 years and $7 million. Winnipeg bolstering their D in a big way. I can guarantee you that was entirely done. Just, you know how people are just sarcastic, and that's a big funny thing to do on Twitter. Like, I didn't think it was that funny, but it becomes really funny when Sportsnet actually posts it.
I don't know who was working there that day, but like, I don't know who they get to bring in July 1. Like, you remember working July 1s. And
Intern City.
Yeah, like, come on. Like, you got to be smart on the streets out there. And Logan Stanley hasn't signed yet, and I know a lot of people are interested in where he's going to go, but surprising that whoever was doing the Sportsnet website embedded a tweet from Jets Hub YT as legitimate news. Like, who are they hiring?
What are we doing here?
Well, yeah, and so I guess be careful. I'll say the one insider, the guy who's on the top of the insider power poll after the trade deadline and the free agency is Elliotte Friedman. He's certainly number one. That's why we're paying attention to what he's saying on 32 Thoughts. There's been a number of insiders putting out.
Let me ask you this. Yeah. Let me ask you this, and I'll put it to the chat as well. Elliotte is clearly number one on the power poll. Who's two?
I'm not sure. There's a big gap. I think Drager took
Johnson?
some. Well, it depends on who's saying news about what team. I saw some people online speculating about, Chris Johnson as well. I think Elliott's number one. I don't know who's number two. I saw T-Will say Bob McKenzie's number two, but he's been retired for a while.
Last guy to break a trade that I can remember is Chad D. Dominicus in Buffalo. That was the Tanner Pearson and Logan Stanley aftermath.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think Darren Drager is certainly up there. Like, if it's Jets news, I'm listening to Darren for sure. But
well, absolutely. But I mean, the thing was, Darren was the guy that said Viggo Bjork isn't a center. It was the reason why Mike had to go to the press conference and start off with Chevy just before we get going. I mean, Viggo winger, and I mean, Chevy almost forced into making an affirmative statement unequivocally. Viggo Bjork is a center. And I said I'll defend Drager on that. I think that he misspoke quickly on a Toronto show. Maybe didn't think much of it, but I mean, I don't know how you could go in and say Viggo Bjork's not a center. I mean, if you'd watched him play center at the World Championships or anything like that, drafted that way, that was strange. And again, every time these games, this is the blessing and the curse of that job. It comes with a lot of great perks and cash and all that. But when you do speak, there's a lot of people listening and everyone talking about it. And if you make a mistake in today's world of social media, people can be ruthless.
Yeah, it's tough. And as you said, like that's part of being an insider, and maybe he could have been a bit more careful, or he thought he was on a Toronto show, people aren't paying attention. I'm not sure. He may have got confused. I'll forgive that one. He did have the report about Ovechkin, which was a tough L last week, that that he wasn't coming back. So you got to be careful out there. But hey, they all got the summer off, and we are staying tuned here. Logan Stanley's a big free agent, and Patrick Laine as well. I'm very curious what's going to happen to those guys. So, and we do have the offer sheets. I do see Andy Strickland, who's a little bit of an insider himself, covering the Blues.
Yeah, you know what? Andy Strickland's had some good stuff when he's on it.
He has. He says Utah is going to match the offer sheet for Barrett Hayton, and I think they should probably do that. But you never know, I guess.
Yeah, as I said, it was a fun weekend on X, the Everything app, between this nonsense, everything from the soccer was absolutely incredible. But I did want to see I made a bit of a list of some of my favorite tweets from it. But the one that I loved, yes, this is from Brady at NHL Chunky. This is like in response to the week's tweet. Hey, Nick, I'm with our family, having dinner, about to do bed with our bath time with kids while hosting friends for 4th of July weekend. I should be enjoying time with my family and friends, but I just can't until I respond to your tweet from 2 days ago. It's been eating at me. I mean, that one was amazing. And I think my favorite one, I'm going to find this one here. Had it before. This is the one about, I'll get it in a second, Reem.
Was it the Supper's Almost Ready one?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I have it. I have it here.
Throw that one up, because
this one, it's got explicit language, so cover your eyes.
Did you? So he did this. About to feed, blah blah blah. Stay in your lane. Did you feed them, or did you go? Supper's almost ready, eyeballs, and F off for 8 hours. So, well done to Jet fans in the comment section. It seems like everyone came together. And shout out Nick. Speaking of Nick has been known. He actually won our poker tourney the first time he came in. I know he is hoping to maybe find his way to Estonia and the Coolbet Open. Hopefully he'll be in there on Wednesday night. But do not forget, Wednesday at 8 p.m., second qualifier, top two get tickets to the final, where the last man standing is going to get that incredible trip from Coolbet to Tallinn, Estonia, and the Coolbet Open, all sorts of cool things around the tourney, entry into the main event, and all that. We'll have Jake on the show tomorrow. Pat and I will do picks for the Scottish Open on Wednesday. But mark that down. The 8th, so that's this Wednesday. Then skip a week the following Tuesday, June 21st. Skip a week, and then August 5th, the Wednesday. That's the final qualifier, and then the finals the next week. I can't remember if it's on Tuesday or Wednesday. But again, there won't be a lot of people in this final, probably like a dozen or so. And then the winner's going to be getting that amazing trip. So, see you on Wednesday. Speaking of which, let's get over to the Coolbet lines. Right now, I think we're still 0-0 in the soccer game. I was so excited about getting into the internet streets there in our last segment. I do see John Horn's visit on our program has taken Felix Auger-Aliassime from a plus 153 underdog to plus 150. I'm still getting a piece of Felix, though, for tomorrow on that. Plus 150 on Felix. You can get Felix plus 2.5 games at minus 102. Definitely could see some tiebreakers in this one. And the total games over under 40.5. The soccer, though, is where we're focusing in on. Right now, 71st minute, 0-0, Portugal, Spain. USA, Belgium tonight. The US is plus 160. A draw is plus 250. Belgium is plus 185. To qualify, USA is minus 122. Belgium is plus 108. But Remo, I was going to get this. I was going to get something like this up myself, but the guys have beat me to it. If you click on the exclusives, you'll see the Canada Soccer Daily Boost is the trump card. Balogun score and USA to advance plus 220.
Yeah, pretty entertaining, the World Cup, where we have the president of a country calling to get a penalty for a red card reversed. Only in soccer.
Guys, if you could. I believe FIFA in your charter, number 27, allows you to do this. Sort of like the way Ronaldo was able to play at the start of this one. Ronaldo, a great player. Like Balogun, very, very great player. And then at the end it goes, I didn't even know what a red card was. So it's, as I say, I would be a lot more stressed if our team was still involved in this, had it. But now that we're out, we can just sit back and enjoy all of it. But that should be a good one tonight if you do like the U.S. and Balogun to score, which almost seems like it's destined to happen now. There you have it, plus 220 over at Coolbet. Tomorrow, 11 a.m., early game. Argentina, Egypt. Argentines are a big, big favorite. Man, was that incredible. Capo Verde pushing them to the brink in their last matchup. Argentina, big one. And then this is the one that we had hoped Canada would be in. Round of 16 in Vancouver. Final game in BC for the tournament. It's the Swiss and Colombia. Colombia is the favorite at plus 131. Switzerland plus 270 to win, and the draw plus 212. That would be regular time. And the other two quarterfinals are set. France minus 167 over Morocco. Morocco plus 575. I will say this. I think Morocco is being disrespected. Like, they're top 6 in the world. A very, very good squad. I guess maybe this is just how good France is, but I was expecting maybe a bit shorter number on France, and certainly Morocco not being as big of an underdog. And then the Viking, Erling Haaland and Norway against England after surviving Mexico. I thought this match was in Mexico. It's not. It's in Miami. So there's nothing to worry about altitude or anything like that. England minus 104, Norway plus 305, and the draw is plus 280. Do we have, let's see here. And we do have the odds right now to win the World Cup. So this is where we're at right now. France is the clear favorite at plus 190. Argentina's plus 450. England plus 550. Spain 7-1. Portugal 9-1. Norway 14-1. Colombia 25. USA 30. Morocco 32. Belgium 70. Switzerland 75-1. And Egypt 300-1. Your longest shot on the board. I may have to get a little piece. Who's going to join me at 10 a.m. tomorrow? We've got lines for 2 games right now, early lines. Edmonton 6.5-point favorites over the Red Blacks, Elks at home, and Calgary 3.5-point underdogs in Montreal against the Alouettes. No line on the Winnipeg-Toronto game right now. Obviously, they're waiting to see what is going on with Zach Collaros. And the other game next week is Saskatchewan and Hamilton. I'm surprised that one's not on the board because I don't think there's any way that Bo Levi Mitchell plays, but I guess they're looking to see what the QB situation is. It's all waiting for you at Coolbet. Use the promo code WST if you haven't played there before and you want to sign up and make a deposit. WST will get you 100% bonus. We'll double your deposit up to $200. Fun, long show today, Remo. Well, I knew it would be coming out of the weekend. We had lots to get to.
Yeah, weekend's always tough. I didn't even get to the hypothetical I was going to ask that if, you know what, we'll save it for another show. Because we got to go. It's been fun. A lot to discuss here today. As we had the Bomber win, the crazy NHL, off season with the offer sheets, and the Jets development camp. A little wrap up there. You talk about Vigo Bjork because I posted that video of you and Ken talking about his first impressions. Got 70,000 views. Over 50% of them were people in Sweden.
Yeah, shout out to our Swedish subscribers and followers. Welcome aboard. We'll be talking about Vigo every day on this program, hopefully for the next 20 years. So you are welcome. If you want Vigo talk, you're going to get it here on WST. All right, I'm going to go watch the end of this soccer game, see who's moving on, Portugal or the Spanish. Still 0-0 with just about 12 minutes left in regulation time. Folks, don't forget, tomorrow morning, join us 10 a.m. live on the channel for CFL 110. Jeff Hamilton's going to join us. Jake Bullen-Moss will have a little bit more on the Jets off season. We'll get the latest on the Bombers. And it all starts at 1 o'clock after CFL 110 at 10 a.m. Enjoy the soccer tonight. Have yourself a wonderful evening, and we'll see you tomorrow on WST. Thanks to all of our sponsors and all of you for hanging out.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.